Earth Football, Cristiano Ronaldo thought I would go assist him. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement, this story is 100% epic fiction. So please don't attempt real magic, the results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 226 Loneliness is a conversation among 4 people, but only 3 understand it. But football is ultimately played by the players themselves. No matter how great the head coach is, there are some things the players still have to face. In a few tough matches, Rio Avenue also exhibits a tendency for their players to retreat after taking the lead. This has even become one of the reasons for their solid defense. Deng Kai nodded, understanding Trigler meaning. This sounds absurd, but in reality, examples abound. Many celebrities or top performers in various fields, when given in-depth interviews, will say things like, "Actually, I lack confidence," or even feel inferior. This is basically the truth. Because as you become a top expert in a certain field, you become more aware that the seemingly slight gap between you and other experts is actually something that cannot be bridged by hard work, or requires even more effort than before to bridge. At the same time, because you have reached a top level in a certain area, the others you collaborate with are basically also top experts at the same level in their respective fields. You understand better how amazing and irreplaceable the top experts in various industries are, and you have to rely on others for many things. Assists rely on Deng Kai, goals on Ronaldo, defense on Gillip and Font, treatment on Muller-Wolfart, and even dating advice from Methos. Well, if you're average, you often feel you can do what those around you do, and it's nothing special. So, basically, everyone reaches their ceiling and roughly understands their true level. Ronaldo is still far from that point, so he can now freely dream of becoming the world's strongest player. Gillip, at 22, has been the subject of interest from multiple clubs for 2 consecutive seasons, not just the 3 giants of the Portuguese league, but also reportedly scouts from the Dutch Eredivisie, Russian Premier League, and Ligue 1. He still has a bright future. Therefore, Gillip greatly anticipates joining a top Italian club, becoming a key player for 10 years, wearing the captain's armband, becoming the team's soul, and having an entire club's fans bid him farewell on his retirement day. But he no longer thinks about becoming the world's best center-back, because he knows it's impossible. His goal is to be world-class, irreplaceable at a particular club. Sergio Gomez, the team's backup goalkeeper, is only 21 years old, but he has already felt the cruelty of professional football. He hopes to get playing time in less important matches and then use that experience to become the starting goalkeeper for a team in a lower league. Midfielder Emerson, 26, dreams of receiving a call from a Serie A club within the next 2 or 3 years, even if it's as a substitute. Backup center-back Orlando, 29, hopes to return to the Brazilian Serie A, stay for 2 or 3 years, and then smoothly join the team's scouting or youth academy. Altino, 33, dreams of experiencing a year in the Portuguese league after promotion, even without a single start, and then willingly retire. Almost all the players at Rio Avenue are below the level of Ronaldinho. Regardless of age, they have all more or less felt the limits of their abilities. Therefore, when the team takes the lead, especially in difficult or important matches, they automatically become conservative, even completely surrendering the midfield and retreating into defensive posture. It wasn't that they chose conservatism chose them. Their abilities didn't support them taking risks. This made Deng Kai somewhat reflective. His poor performance in the last game was related to lack of self-awareness among the players. But the conservatism of Rio Avenue and most of Moreirense's players stemmed from an overly accurate self-awareness. There are always 2 sides to every coin. If you want Ronaldo and Cope's obsessive pursuit of victory and their unwavering confidence in their ability to deliver a game-winning shot, you have to accept their stubbornness, even when they're at rock bottom and surrounded by enemies, refusing to even glance at their teammates. Many people don't understand what a team's ceiling means. Rio Avenue's performance is a testament to the team's peak, Trigura said. So even though they've already secured promotion to the Portuguese Primeira Liga, they will definitely return from there next year. Then the head coach will resign, and the team will once again dominate the Portuguese second division. If they want to stay in the Premier Liga, they'll have to abandon almost the entire current team structure. However, no one will understand their approach. Everyone thinks, why not just buy 3 or 4 star players to improve the team's strength? Why dismantle and rebuild the team? Trigura seemed to be referring to Rio Avenue, but Deng Kai's pupils constricted. Going back? Trigura was surprised. He hadn't revealed anything, so how did Deng Kai know? Yes. Trigura nodded. His backer had been released for some time now. It seemed like there was no chance left, but in reality, they were preparing a fatal blow. If nothing unexpected happened, Sporting Lisbon's management would face some major setbacks this summer. Serious problems would be exposed. And Trigura would then prepare to rebuild Sporting Lisbon, because Sporting Lisbon's current structure was only at the level of the 3rd, 4th, or 5th in the league. No matter how many players they bring in, the team can't win the championship. Huh? Back already? We haven't finished discussing this yet? Ronaldo looked completely bewildered. What was supposed to be a 4-person conversation suddenly seemed like a tacit understanding between 2 people. Not all discussions need a conclusion, that's no longer important. Zhang Yunzhu not only understood, but she also possessed a lot of information. Some of the clues held by the owner behind Trigura were provided by Zhang Yunzhu. As for the purpose, with the arrival of a new era, Sporting Lisbon will embark on an unprecedented cooperation with China. A cooperation unlike any before. This was a novel idea that Deng Kai had proposed when discussing domestic football with Zhang Yunzhu. To be honest, Zhang Yunzhu initially thought Deng Kai's suggestion was utter nonsense. But after careful consideration and expert consultation, she discovered that this might be the true path for the development of Chinese football. This almost overturned all previous approaches to football development in China. Provincial team model? No. Sports school model? No. Campus football model? No. Nationwide youth training? No. Heavy investment in national football infrastructure? No. Naturalizing foreign players? No, no. In Deng Kai's words, football shouldn't be valued in China at all, nor does it have the foundation or tradition to be valued. Developing it as a niche hobby for children from middle class and above families is sufficient for talent selection, given the country's large population. Forcing it into a national sport will only provoke resentment, turning it from something desirable to something undesirable, and losing its core supporter. A niche sport can at least survive, even excel. Forcing it will only breed corruption and decadence. The collaboration between Sporting Lisbon and China will be an experiment. If it succeeds here, then a conclusion will be reached regarding the development of football in China. Good grief. Zhang Yunzhu's words made Ronaldo even more emo. So, in this conversation between the 4 of us, I'm the only one who hasn't joined your private chat group? Should I leave? Chapter 227. A mental illness requires a mental cure. No, this is very important, Deng Kai retorted to Zhang Yunzhu's point of view. Any championship is important to me. Ronaldo was moved. Sure enough, only Kai cared about my feelings. Any championship is important to me, Ronaldo. I will never miss any championship trophy again, I swear. Deng Kai hadn't forgotten his championship Raider medal. 3 championships last season, and already a U17 league championship this season. Deng Kai's personal ability had improved by 12%. Many of his stats had reached the upper limit of 75 after the increase. He was now extremely eager for championships and didn't have time to think about Ronaldo or Ronaldo. Ronaldo. May 23rd. The second UEFA Youth Champions League in the European U19 Youth League came to a successful conclusion. This year, West Ham United's U19 from the English Premier League lifted the UEFA Youth Champions League trophy. Joe Cole and Jermaine Defoe scored goals and shared the Best Player award. Also included in the Best Zi was the team's centre-back, Anton Ferdinand. Of course, when mentioning Anton Ferdinand, the media inevitably inquired about his brother, Rio Ferdinand. This rising star centre-back, currently playing for West Ham United's first team, has attracted the attention of several top clubs. Rumors suggest that Leeds United and Manchester United are interested in him, and his market value has exceeded €25 million. May 24th. The Champions League final kicked off. La Liga teams secured all the final spots, with Real Madrid facing Valencia. In the first half, Morines chested the ball down and scored, giving his team the lead. In the second half, Mick Merriman added another goal with a volley. Then, Raul scored a brilliant solo goal to seal the victory, thus sharing the Champions League Golden Boot with Barcelona's Rivaldo with 10 goals. After 2 years, Real Madrid lifted the Champions League trophy again. May 26. The final round of the Portuguese second division officially began, with all teams starting simultaneously, refusing to accept fixed matches. Deng Kai received a pre-match warning that your jumping ability has received a slight boost, but he didn't overly focus on this interference from Ronaldo. He wouldn't design his game around his jumping ability, he only needed to focus on his existing abilities. This was the clearest self-awareness. In the 9th minute, Ronaldo's shot went wide, but a commotion erupted in the stadium. Vieira had taken the lead, overtaking Gil Vicente and Moreirense in the live standings to become second with 51 points. In the 21st minute, Rio Avenue opened the scoring against Moreirense. However, the linesman raised his hand. It was a clear offside. The score remains 0-0. But then, the Rio Avenue fans around them stirred again. Gil Vicente had scored. They were now tied with Vieira on 51 points, but with a better head-to-head record, they had overtaken Moreirense and Vieira to become the new contenders for the Primeira Liga. Moreirense currently has 50 points, fourth in the Primeira Liga. Rio Avenue has 52 points, first in the Primeira Liga. In the 35th minute, Deng Kai played a through ball over the top, and Ronaldo cut inside without the ball to score. However, the referee indicated that Ronaldo had fouled the goalkeeper first. This was indeed the case. Deng Kai's lobbed pass was a bit too deep, entering the goalkeeper's control. Ronaldo bumped past the goalkeeper before touching the ball. However, this also allowed Moreirense to maintain his form. In the 40th minute, Deng Kai received a pass from Macedon and combined with Alex on the right wing. Alex went down the byline and pulled away the defender. Facing the covering midfielder, Deng Kai executed a nutmeg and cut inside. With Robin socks in hand, Deng Kai's cut inside from the left wing was extremely dangerous. He nutmegged the defender and successfully reached the right edge of the penalty area. Facing the center back, Deng Kai performed a series of step-overs. The movements were stiff, but incredibly fast. Because if Deng Kai's movements were slow, the defensive midfielder behind him would catch up. So he had to take a gamble. Electric step-over. Bang! Deng Kai's good fortune from the previous match paid off, his bicycle kick didn't back down. With a flick and a shot, Deng Kai's movements were fluid and graceful. Combined with a combination of factors, a curling shot with the inside of his foot, the presence of the mediocre winger Schweinsteiger, and a long-range effort, this shot curled into an incredible arc. The Rio Avenue goalkeeper swore he'd never seen such a high-quality curling shot. Absolutely not. Clang. The ball struck the junction of the crossbar and post and bounced into the net. A 100% unstoppable goal. Goal. Duncan. It has to be Duncan. Duncan didn't waste his 19 shots in the last match. Everything was setting the stage for today's game. 1-0. Moreirense takes the lead. If the game ends at this score, they will be the champions of the 1999-2000 Portuguese second division. Duncan really did it. Just as he said before, if you can compete for the title, why worry about advancing? In that case, it doesn't matter how many goals Gil Vicente and Vizela win. Rio Avenue will become the second team to enter the Portuguese Super League. During halftime, Trigueira emphasized the players' defensive problems and said that he would substitute Flavio at the appropriate time, bringing on a midfielder or defender, telling Flavio not to conserve his energy. This was no different from the arrangements for previous games. But this game was too important. So much so that the players only remembered defense and forgot everything else, Trigueira said. At the start of the second half, Moreirense was not in good form. When Deng Kai was organizing the attack in midfield, he suddenly felt isolated and helpless. Even when he called Emerson up, Emerson instinctively dropped back after passing the ball. Flavio even dropped back to become a midfield interceptor, but his position is right winger. Deng Kai and Ronaldo are all too familiar with this situation. Wasn't it the same in their first few games after joining Moreirense? It's a ailment, a weakness. Back then, Trigueira and Deng Kai chose to treat it with a winning streak, which worked well, cultivating a strong mentality in the team. But today's game is not just important, it's a championship match. And a super event combining championship contention and advancement. Moreirense has won. But Moreirense has never won a single trophy. It's not that no Moreirense player has ever won a championship, but apart from youth team achievements, none of them have won a championship as a starter or a key rotation player. They all won by default, and there were only 2 or 3 of them. Many have never even tasted victory. This weakness needs a winning game as a cure. The disease of lacking a championship needs a champion to cure it. This is the importance of a strong and championship-winning gene. But this team lacks it. Chapter 228 An effective possession. Conversely, Rio Avenue maintained remarkable resilience, launching a fierce attack at the start of the second half. They ultimately scored 2 goals in the 57th and 61st minutes, overturning the score and taking the lead with 54 points. Moreirense was stunned. Ronaldo angrily punched and cursed in the attacking third, barely touching the ball except when retreating. The team was back to its stagnant state. Similarly, Deng Kai experienced firsthand what helplessness truly meant. This was the limitation of a team's potential. No one was to blame. This was the most realistic aspect of Moreirense's game. In professional football, an individual player might change the score, but it's difficult to single-handedly change the course of the game. This is something future Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Ibrahimovic, and De Bruyne couldn't achieve. Previously in the youth academy, Deng Kai had the confidence and ability to completely transform a team in a short time. His match against Wahoo is the best proof. Wherever he went, that team won by a large margin. Such a thing is unlikely to happen again. Calm down, stay calm, there's always a chance. Deng Kai frowned, retreating to his defensive midfield position to participate in the defense, while carefully observing the situation on the field. He quickly saw an opportunity. Or rather, he saw another Moreirense. Bang! After gaining possession, Deng Kai launched a long ball towards the left flank. The long-awaited Ronaldo wouldn't miss any crucial opportunity. He moved with lightning speed, and was brought down. Too simple. Is this the genius midfielder you all call better than Sneijder and Van der Vaart? In the stadium's VIP box, Van Gaal swirled his wineglass. He actually knew about Deng Kai. Guardiola had mentioned him many times. However, Van Gaal and Guardiola gradually developed tactical differences, and after their honeymoon period, they entered an awkward phase. So, naturally, Van Gaal didn't approve of the players Guardiola favored. He even knew that Guardiola often asked his teammates for autographed footballs and sent them to Deng Kai, players like Rivaldo and Kluivert. Beside Van Gaal, the head of Ajax's scouting department stood with a fawning smile. He had invited Van Gaal to come and help them assess Kilip. They were very interested in him and planned to buy him after the season. About 3 minutes later, Duncan, having received the ball, launched another long pass counter-attack. Van Gaal frowned. This was utterly disorganized. Guardiola had even said this kid resembled Xavi plus Iniesta from the youth academy. Could this even compare to a single leg hair of a Barcelona player? Bang! Duncan launched his third long pass counter-attack, targeting Ronaldo. Van Gaal's brow suddenly furrowed. Because the game suddenly opened up. With Duncan's 3 long pass counter-attacks, Ronaldo's explosive speed was fully on display. In reality, even if he dribbled into the attacking third alone, he couldn't cause too much trouble for Rio Avenue's defense, as they had several defenders and couldn't be broken through by one person. But it looked terrifying. One man, a solo run down the wing, cutting inside to enter the penalty area. It was exhilarating to watch. This was a classic, visible threat. Rio Avenue's pressing formation instantly retreated, surrendering midfield control to Moreirense. They were afraid. They didn't want to concede a goal. Their inherent weakness, stemming from the same limitations in their squad as Moreirense's, had surfaced. When both teams want possession, the team with better ball control and a stronger midfield gets more. When neither team wants possession, the leading team can simply not have it. So even though Moreirense's players were reluctant to go forward, they couldn't just stay put when the opponent retreated, could they? They still needed to catch up. Moreirense started pressing forward. Deng Kai's helplessness vanished. He regained control of the team. In the 73rd minute, Deng Kai passed a ball to Alex on the right wing. Alex's cross created a dangerous situation, sending a chill down Rio Avenue's spine. They more firmly urged their midfield teammates to come closer and protect the defense, preventing the opponent from easily gaining aerial duels in the penalty area. In the 76th minute, Alex feigned a run down the wing, actually passing to Flavio. Flavio swept the ball across the face of goal, but unfortunately, it couldn't get past the Rio Avenue defenders and was kicked away. In the 77th minute, Seraphim's cross from the left wing created a corner. Duncan's corner kick, attempting to catch the goalkeeper off guard, was easily saved by the goalkeeper. Rio Avenue then launched a counter-attack, and Gillip received a yellow card for trying to stop it. Rio Avenue's coach, players, and fans were all incredibly relaxed. They had made the right decision. Taking the lead and pulling back to strengthen their defense meant they were less likely to concede goals while also creating opportunities for counterattacks, a much more comfortable approach. Even Van Gaal felt that while Duncan's efforts to force the opponent to retreat actually hindered Moreirense's chances of closing the gap. Attacking teams are more prone to conceding goals than defensive teams. How could Duncan's little brain not understand such a simple truth? Often, attacking teams are harder to break down than defending teams, Trigueros explained to his assistant coach, who shared Van Gaal's understanding, as he discussed the situation on the field. Our defense is an active, positional defense, the intention being to deny the opposing team any space to control the ball in our area. So many teams have much more possession than us, but in fact, we have even more possession in the opponent's half. Is possession in our own half considered threatening? Not really, at least not compared to possession in the opponent's half. And an even more useless statistic than possession in our own half is passive possession, which is possession aimed at avoiding the opponent's pressing. Even if this possession rate reaches 100%, it's useless. Rio Avenue, who scored 2 goals in quick succession, played with high morale and dominated possession in our half for a long time. Our players' passing after receiving the ball was all passive possession, mainly to avoid the pressing, purely ineffective possession. Now, our possession is mainly concentrated in their half, which is the most efficient way to control the ball in the attacking third. The scoring probability is much higher than before when we were passively controlling possession. Even considering the difficulties their defense brings, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. As to how this advantage outweighs the disadvantages, Moreirense's record in the first half of the season has already given the answer. This team has almost never won a single game in which they were leading. Which speaks volumes. Chapter 229 Moreirense's 3 high tactics. Beep. After Emerson's pass was blocked, Duncan signaled a substitution towards Trigger. He specifically pointed to the 2 substitute center-backs, Altino and Orlando. Trigger had been waiting for this signal for a long time. But he needed Duncan to confirm, through some probing, that Rio Avenue's players truly had no will to fight back before making this aggressive substitution. Oh. Trigueros is making 2 substitutions in a row, but why 2 center-backs? Gillip has a yellow card and is being substituted, which is normal, but Font seems fine. Or is he preparing to strengthen the defense by adding another center-back? Wait. Altino has replaced left-back Seraphim like. Although Altino is a center-back, he's been effective playing left-back this season, making him a versatile player in the back. Orlando didn't replace Gillip, but Flavio. They're on. Font and Orlando have both moved up front. Are they going to form a 3-striker formation with Anderson? Ronaldo on the left, Alex very far forward when attacking, on the right. Is this a 5-striker formation? Emerson, Macedo, Duncan, Altino, Orlando. This is outrageous. Is this a 2-3-5 formation? Has Moreirense gone mad? What if the opponent launches a counter-attack? Font played as a center forward before, and it worked wonders. I thought the 2-12 tactic was the limit of Moreirense's imagination, but I didn't expect them to come up with a 3-12 tactic this time. This is ridiculous. Trigueros smiled. Ridiculous? Huh. Just as he said before, being pinned down in their own half and only able to pass the ball with the purpose of dodging is meaningless passive possession, theoretically offering almost no help to the attack. Counterattacks sound easy, but they are still very difficult to execute at this point. At the very least, with 3 1.9-meter tall players in the penalty area, are you sure you can defend against them with 3 or 4 defenders? If one-on-one defense is enough, then there would be no such thing as a defensive wall. Trigueros bet that Rio Avenue's coach wouldn't dare to bet. But Moreirense dared. In the 82nd minute, Alex crossed from the wing. 3 tall players around 1.9 meters tall covered the ground, bombarding Rio Avenue's penalty area. In the 83rd minute, Rio Avenue's players tried to regain possession of the ball from Deng Kai's feet. However, after Deng Kai turned and created space, he immediately passed the ball with his left foot, finding Ronaldo who had been widening the left flank. Ronaldo easily dribbled past his opponent and crossed a ball. His cross was of lower quality, flying high and moving slowly, theoretically posing no threat, but Moreirense's 3 tall, high height, and high height, Made up for it. These days, who isn't afraid of three tall players? Bang! Killup jumped at the near post, won the header, and headed the ball across. Anderson, realizing he couldn't get the ball, immediately blocked the defender next to him. This gave Font a free takeoff. Bang! Font headed the ball. The ball slammed into the goal. Goal. Font scored. 2-2. Moreirense has equalized. They haven't given up yet. Oh. Anderson rushed into the goal and pulled the ball out. Moreirense needs another goal to advance and become the Portuguese First Division champions. Otherwise, at the current score, they'll only be fourth in the Portuguese First Division. They can't accept a draw. That's why Rio Ave retreated to defend earlier. Their advantage isn't one goal, but two. At 2-1, even if they conceded one goal, they could still maintain the Portuguese First Division title. Unless Moreirense can score another goal. But given Moreirense's efficiency in scoring this equalizer, it's unlikely they'll score again. There aren't another 20 or 30 minutes left in the game. If Rio Ave's midfield commander had previously harbored some desire to find counter-attacking opportunities from Moreirense's attacks, from this moment on, no one in Rio Ave wanted to launch any attacks. They had less than 10 minutes left to fight for their lives. They had to hold on. With Rio Ave's long ball failing to find their striker, Moreirense regained possession less than 30 seconds after the opponent's kickoff. Rio Ave completely retreated. Similarly, Moreirense's three center forwards, plus Ronaldo and Emerson on the left, all surged forward, awaiting crosses from their teammates. Altino, Orlando, Macedo, and Duncan were in midfield. Duncan passed the ball to Alex, who intended to cross from the byline, but the opposing defense was well marked and cleared him. Alex passed back to Duncan, who delivered a 45-degree cross, which was quickly cleared by players in the penalty area. Duncan then passed to Macedo on the left, whose run down the flank was also hampered. At this point, Moreirense's defense was relatively open, so it was best to avoid any risky moves, such as attempting one-on-one dribbling. Macedo, for safety's sake, also passed back to the approaching Duncan. Duncan again delivered a 45-degree cross, this time creating a corner kick. This is why many teams, when relentlessly attacking their opponents with crosses in the final moments, opt for less threatening 45-degree crosses instead of more dangerous low crosses. A 45-degree cross is delivered from a position near the left or right flank, essentially connecting the midfield, backfield, and even the attacking third. If pressured by the defense, there are numerous escape routes, making it less likely to lose possession. A low cross, on the other hand, if the opponent cuts off the escape route, it's easy to lose possession, and then the opponent can easily launch a long ball. I won't go into specific matches this resembles, it's disheartening. Afterwards, Moreirense earned 3 more corner kick opportunities from this one. But without exception, none of them threatened Rio Ave's goal. The closest was when Duncan took a corner kick with a curved trajectory very close to the goal. The disadvantage of this type of corner kick is that because it's so close to the goalkeeper, it's easy for him to catch it. But the advantage is that this curve is in front of most of the attacking and defensive players' chosen positions. If someone manages to reach the ball before the goalkeeper, they will almost certainly not be interfered with by others. Cristiano Ronaldo had this unspoken understanding with Duncan. He made a feint, then leaped forward. His head was less than 10 centimeters from the ball. Bang! The Rio Ave goalkeeper punched the ball away. Even with a high head, it's not as high as an outstretched hand. It's understandable that this corner kick wasn't very threatening. 90 minutes. 91 minutes. 92 minutes. Time was like poison, slowly extinguishing the hope in the hearts of the Moreirense players. Although everyone was still fighting for the ball, their bodies were gradually growing cold. They had a bad feeling. In the 93rd minute, Duncan and Alex took a short free kick, and Duncan quickly dribbled to the right side of the penalty area. This wasn't a wise choice. Losing possession would not only destroy the attacking opportunity but also make it easy for Rio Ave to score. And indeed, if you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230. This shot was arguably the best assist of the year. Rio Ave's players sensed a decisive goal and swarmed Deng Kai. Deng Kai flicked the ball with his left foot, turned halfway, and pulled it back with his right, a right to left Marseille's turn. Bold. And successful. However, the benefits were minimal. This lateral movement only moved Deng Kai closer to the edge of the penalty area, but what could he do from that position? A long pass? Too close. Deng Kai was close to the wall of opposing players and his own teammates, and the wall was close to the goal. He couldn't get anything out of it. A shot? The density of the wall of players was so high that Deng Kai couldn't see any shooting path at a glance. Many players' shots seem absurd to fans, many wide, many high, etc. But fans who enjoy watching replays can spot some key details. Most of these seemingly absurd shots, from the player's perspective or a relative perspective, perfectly avoided the opposing defenders, finding the only path to deliver the ball. So although the shot went wide, it was because the only path they managed to find was also wrong, not because the players' shooting skills were particularly bad. This kind of poor shooting is fundamentally different from the Chinese national team's airplane-like shooting technique. A back pass? Addendum time should be up. If they pass back, the referee will likely blow the whistle directly, ending the game 2-2. Wait, it seems. Deng Kai had already withdrawn his scanning gaze, but the scene from just now resurfaced in his mind. He seemed to see a path. A path, a seemingly insurmountable one. Passing the ball. Drawing the bow. Knocking the arrow. Bang! Deng Kai unleashed a powerful left-footed shot. He came from the right wing, and with robin socks, his left-footed shooting was reliable. Cristiano Ronaldo. Deng Kai shouted as he shot. The ball flew out. Shoot. Deng Kai shoots. But it's too wide. This shot isn't even on target. He's right-footed, choosing to shoot with his left foot was a mistake. This shot clearly wasn't covered. The ball flew to the left, completely out of target. A left-footed shot from the right side of the penalty arc, that's the widest and most versatile shot from that position. Missing it isn't a big deal, but if it's not even on target, that's absurd. The key is, it's not the kind of shot that just grazed the post because of a poor angle. If this shot were to actually go in, it should be somewhere between the left corner flag and the left post when it goes out of bounds. It's way off. In an instant, many experienced goal-scoring players reached this conclusion. Van Gaal shook his head repeatedly. Deng Kai's mental fortitude is still lacking. He can't even handle a goal in a promotion match. Can we expect anything from him in crucial matches in the Portuguese league or even the top 5 European leagues? In comparison, Iniesta from the Barcelona youth team is definitely something else. Deng Kai is far inferior to Iniesta in beauty. Bang! Ronaldo was almost on the far left of the wall, most of his body facing the goal, ready to jump and contest Deng Kai's lob pass, if Deng Kai chose to lob. But after hearing Deng Kai's shout, he turned his head to the right, looking at Deng Kai. No, he couldn't see Deng Kai. Because a football came hurtling towards him. Bang! Ronaldo was hit in the head and fell to the ground instantly. Like a paper doll hit by a hammer, his feet stuck to the ground. The football hit Ronaldo's forehead. As Ronaldo turned his head, the trajectory changed due to the curve of his head. The football deflected. It curved into the left post and went into the net. Everyone was dumbfounded. What happened? Did he score? Ah! Deng Kai spread his arms and ran wildly. He ran towards Ronaldo. He ran past Ronaldo. He rushed towards the corner flag. Behind him, almost all the Moreirense players rushed over. They celebrated wildly in the corner flag area. Only Ronaldo remained, lying on the grass in the penalty area, gazing at the sky. He didn't know what had happened, he only felt a heavy weight on his head. He raised his hand to rub his head, feeling a slight pain. Everything around him felt detached, a profound silence. The fans in the stands either covered their heads in disbelief or cheered, but strangely, none of them made a sound. This quiet even felt comfortable to Ronaldo. The noisy environment on the pitch can sometimes be a double torment for players, both physically and mentally. Goal. 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 I swear. I've never seen such a bizarre goal in my life. I'm burning. I'm melting. This is an absolute flash of genius. Deng Kai, relying on his own strength, scored with the help of his teammate Ronaldo's head. 3-2. In the last minute of stoppage time, Moreirense staged a dramatic last-minute winner. They've reached the top of the Portuguese second division. Advancement. Championship. They wanted it all. They really got it all. I can't believe this goal happened. I have 100 questions in my head. Was Deng Kai planning this goal from the Marseille's turn? This was definitely not a random shot. Deng Kai's shooting skills may not be top-notch, but they're definitely reliable. He scored so many brilliant goals. Even if this shot went wide, it wouldn't have gone wide of Ronaldo's head. Besides, he called out Ronaldo's name when he shot. This was teamwork. This was a conspiracy orchestrated unilaterally by Deng Kai. Ronaldo passively cooperated, gaining a bizarre goal, but at the cost of being hit in the head by the ball. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely spectacular. This is the most beautiful goal in all of Europe this year. Absolutely. On the sidelines, countless people clutched their heads. Reporters' flashes went off everywhere. Even more incredible was that amidst Moreirense's celebrations, the referee blew his whistle 3 times, ending the match. In fact, stoppage time had long been over. Regardless of whether the attack succeeded or not, the referee could have blown the whistle immediately. The reason he delayed whistling was simply because he had witnessed the entire goal and was still reeling from the incredible moment. Rio Avenue's players should have argued with the referee, but they remained rooted to the spot. When your opponent scores such a goal that defies human limits, you really don't want to play anymore. Because any other goal, compared to this one, seems so insignificant, so mediocre and boring. Of course, this was also related to the fact that Rio Avenue's players knew that even if they lost this match, they could still advance to the Portuguese league based on their record and goal difference. Otherwise, they might have been hysterical. Those who haven't read the old book must read it, it's truly amazing. Chapter 231 The Disappearance of Cristiano Ronaldo. It's over. Champions. Moreirense are the champions. Deng Kai. He's the absolute hero of this championship trophy. He led Moreirense from the bottom of the league in a crazy chase, finally defeating their rivals Rio Avenue in the last round to claim the title. This is absolutely the most thrilling Portuguese First Division season ever. Deng Kai. The Portuguese Caesar. The Chinese-American superstar. Trigura's favorite player. The hope of Sporting Lisbon in Maxier's words. The conqueror of American actresses. The kisser of Hollywood actresses. The true love that Hathaway pursued. He will be remembered by the Portuguese First Division forever. 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 Amidst a flurry of flashing lights, images of the Moreirense players celebrating wildly continued to appear. The officials were setting up a stage. Deng Kai, who only remembered Ronaldo after the celebration ended, wanted to go over, but was surrounded by a large group of reporters. However, seeing that Ronaldo had already sat up, he felt relieved enough to give an interview. Reporter: Congratulations, Deng Kai, you created a miracle. Deng Kai, it was us, every player, staff member, fan, everyone at Moreirense. Reporter: You were in dire straits at one point in the game. What supported you in completing the comeback? Deng Kai: As a lone player, I don't know and can't decide where I'll be next season. So I hope to bring everything to my team within the time I can control. Staying in the league, promotion, winning the championship. I'm willing to give everything for it. Reporter: You scored the winning goal. How do you feel right now? Deng Kai: Excited, endlessly excited. Reporter: Was this goal something you and Ronaldo planned together? Or did you just miss? Deng Kai: Ronaldo and I have unparalleled understanding. Facing difficulties, of course I wanted to rely on myself. But after my Marseille's turn, I found that the opponent hadn't left any defensive gaps. At that moment, I would look to Ronaldo. When he faced the same situation, he would look to me immediately. We both believed that the other could give us hope of breaking the deadlock. Fortunately, I found him. Reporter: That shot was a midfield maestro-level assist. Deng Kai nodded, confirming the other party's statement, even though it sounded a bit strange. The reporters didn't have much time for interviews, as the stage was already set up. Moreirense's players were about to go up and lift their first ever championship trophy. Facing the trophy, Altino glanced at Deng Kai, indicating that he should go. But Deng Kai refused. Altino was more deserving to lift the trophy. He was the team captain. Moreover, his contribution to the team far exceeded Deng Kai's, both in the past and future. 1, 2, 3. We are the champions. Click. A simple yet classic championship photo was taken. From this moment on, Portugal had created its own miracle, like many other miracles in world football before it, one that would be forever remembered. 2 years earlier, Bundesliga team Kaiserslautern created the miracle of a newly promoted team winning the Bundesliga title. In the 1992 European Championship, Denmark defeated world champions Germany 2-0 in the final, creating the Danish fairy tale. AC Milan's miracle of a 58-game unbeaten run in the league. Earlier, Nottingham Forest achieved a remarkable double and 2 consecutive Champions League titles as a newly promoted team. San Remo in Serie A rose from Serie D to Serie A in 3 years, a true miracle. A new miracle. Moreirense went from last place in the league to winning the title in half a season. A magical last-minute goal. Portugal's Kaiser becomes a midfield maestro. A brilliant shot creates the best assist of the year. Rio Ave coach, we brought the Great Wall of China to the penalty area, but we forgot that Kai is from China. Even the Great Wall can be exploited by him. Trigura, the title belongs to everyone, but Duncan is the best player in this match, without a doubt. Trigura, my luckiest thing wasn't loaning Duncan this year, but when I heard him say he wanted to play football the year before last, I immediately went to his house. Otherwise, he would have been snatched away by Barcelona. Moreirense and Rio Ave achieved promotion to the Premier League as first and second place finishers in the Portuguese second division. The Portuguese second division best XI is announced, with 5 Moreirense players selected, making them the biggest winner. Deng Kai and Ronaldo lead the way, along with Anderson, Font, and Gillip. Ronaldo wins the Portuguese second division Golden Boot with 20 goals and 4 assists in half a season, by a single goal. He also won the Portuguese second division Best Striker award. Incredible efficiency. Deng Kai scores 12 goals and provides 18 assists, contributing to 30 goals in half a season, winning 3 major awards: Portuguese second division Best Player, Portuguese second division Best Midfielder, and Portuguese second division Assist King. Heart-wrenching. Moreirense lifts their first ever trophy, filling a gap in their honors. Fans flock to the streets, weeping. Van Gaal, that goal was truly exquisite and unrepeatable. Moreirense's success is not accidental. They have many good players. Deng Kai and Ronaldo certainly count, but I believe Gillip's contribution to the defense is irreplaceable. The Portuguese media was abuzz. Fans were even more astonished. Most of them first heard of this team when Trigura was coaching and Deng Kai and Ronaldo were on loan, their impression being that they were at the bottom of the Portuguese second division. The next thing I remembered was Moreirense eliminating Sporting Lisbon and Benfica, the 2 giants of Sporting Lisbon. And now they've won the Portuguese second division and been promoted to the Primeira Liga. Good heavens. Even the most unpredictable player can't change things like this, at least let it cool down a bit. Almost overnight, all of Portugal remembered that goal. That incredible goal created by Duncan. But Cristiano Ronaldo, who searched through the newspapers but couldn't find his picture, was completely bewildered. First, what kind of goal was that? He genuinely had no recollection. Especially since it was a goal he scored. It was the last and most crucial goal that allowed him to surpass Gil Vicente's 19 goals and claim the Portuguese second division Golden Boot. He only remembered a moment of darkness, and when he opened his eyes again, the game seemed to be over. So when reporters asked him how he felt after scoring, besides feeling very dark, very quiet, and very painful, he couldn't find any other words to describe it. Even after watching the moment he was hit in the head again and again, he still couldn't connect that goal with himself. This feeling of being disconnected from the whole world was truly awful. Since there's a first, there must be a second. Ronaldo's second point of confusion was, why wasn't the goal scorer himself included in the celebration of that most spectacular, crucial goal he scored himself? Yes. Ronaldo scoured every media outlet. He was certain that every version of the report included photos of almost everyone on the team participating in the celebration. Except him. He was nowhere to be found. Chapter 232 The star player falls, a new tactical whiteboard. He seemed to have vanished from the game. It was as if Deng Kai's shot had hit thin air and bounced into the net. As the most crucial link in the chain, Ronaldo was completely forgotten amidst global discussion. This caused Ronaldo to doubt himself. Had Deng Kai's shot actually killed him, leaving him merely a ghost, which was why others couldn't perceive his existence? Ronaldo had an even more terrifying suspicion. He'd heard Deng Kai tell a story about how when everyone forgets your existence, even if you still exist, you're essentially non-existent. So I don't exist, so I killed myself? Ronaldo, wasn't destined to enjoy the Portuguese league title, so I'm called C without life? Ronaldo slumped into a pile of newspapers, his hands clasped together, ready to slap his forehead. Deng Kai interrupted Ronaldo's thoughts. This might be my fault. Ronaldo shook his head. It's okay. Scoring is the most important thing. Even if it hurts, even if I risk injury, I'd still let you smash my head with a football if I had to do it all over again. You did the right thing, Kai, don't feel guilty. Seeing how rational Ronaldo was, Deng Kai didn't continue. Actually, what he wanted to say was that it was his fault because he was too excited after scoring, and he led his teammates straight past Ronaldo's world, rushing towards the corner flag to celebrate. That's why our Ronaldo is nowhere to be seen in almost all the photos of that goal. Because when everyone was celebrating, Ronaldo was still lying in the opponent's penalty area. The fact that Rio Avenue's players didn't take the opportunity to kick Ronaldo a couple of times was really a sign of high character. Of course, Deng Kai admitted that he had an internal struggle when he passed by Ronaldo lying on the ground. There was a little angel and a little devil arguing in his mind. The little devil said, "Don't worry about him, he's in such good shape, he'll definitely be fine, let's go celebrate first, and come back to check on him later." The little angel nodded repeatedly, "Okay, okay. Ronaldo? You call this an argument?" But since Ronaldo isn't going to pursue it, Deng Kai won't say anything more. It's not that he's afraid Ronaldo will hide him, it's just that he has to respect Ronaldo's wishes. Ling. You have won a match, with a rating of SSS. Ling. You have won the team honor of the Portuguese 2nd Division Championship, and individual honors of Portuguese 2nd Division Best Player, Portuguese 2nd Division Best Midfielder, Portuguese 2nd Division Assist King, and Portuguese 2nd Division Best Zai. Rewards: Super Training Pile 50, Donglong Special Drink 40, Bayao Band 15, Blue Skill 1, Purple Skill 1, Tactics Spar 1, Star Player Drop 1. Blue Player Skill, Invisible Man on the field. Some players just seem to disappear on the field. When you are moving on the field, your presence will be greatly reduced, making you less likely to be spotted and marked by opposing defenders. Purple Star Player Skill, Midfield Core. Some players just seem to become the focus of attention on the field. When you are running on the field, your presence will be greatly enhanced, making you easier for teammates to spot. Your passing to teammates at close range is improved. Your passing to teammates at long range is significantly improved. Wow! The system has finally become human. Instead of giving fragments like those trashy game companies, it now gives you a complete product. Moreover, these two skills are complementary. This means that whether Deng Kai walks or runs, he receives a decent boost. Invisible Man on the court is an absolute game changer. Midfield Core is also extremely rare, as it not only improves himself but also his teammates. With teammates in the CBA, Category A, category, the actual effect of this skill is definitely no less than that of a purple tier star skill. The star player's drop is interesting. Deng Kai didn't see that star player at the game, but since it dropped, he probably came and was quite impressed. Van Gaal's tactical whiteboard. The Dutch coach has the blood of a big circle boy flowing in his veins, especially devoted to the big circle tactic, unchanged for 20 years. Occupies one tactical slot. Defensive positioning +2, interception +1, tackle +1, block +1, clearance +1, short pass +1. You and your teammates can adapt more quickly to backfield U-shaped passes, wing penetration and short combinations, and backfield delay defense through training. For a moment, I didn't know if this was praise or mockery. Speaking of Van Gaal, his coaching career was mostly unsuccessful. However, he was adept at promoting young talent. Many young stars entered the first team under his guidance and gradually rose to prominence. He was also nicknamed Chef Van by fans because of his penchant for frequently buying players at high prices, much like the simple-minded chef played by Fan Wei in the skit Selling Crutches, always making a different move each year. This so-called big circle tactic, while sounding like a tactic, is actually not much of a tactic at all. Simply put, it's the center back passing to the left back to the left midfielder, and the left midfielder to the left winger. The left winger gets the ball, looks down, and sees no one on the wing. The opponent is marking him, he can't get past them. Breaking through is risky, and the coach says no taking risks. So the left winger passes back to the left midfielder, the left midfielder passes back to the left back passes back to the center back then passes to the right back to the right midfielder, the right winger, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. From this perspective, the ball moves in a large circle, forming a U-shaped trajectory when viewed from one's own goal. What are the characteristics of this tactic? There's no central collision, through balls, or deep runs. Everything is done on the flanks. The flanks roam back and forth, making almost no attacking attempts. It's all just scratching the surface. With the characteristics clear, the advantages and disadvantages become apparent. Advantage 1. Even without a top-class midfielder, you can still maintain a significant amount of possession and gain a so-called upper hand. Advantage 2. Possession means fewer opportunities for the opponent to attack, which is beneficial for defense. Advantage 3. It fully utilizes the width of the field to cope with pressing, which is also beneficial for defense. Such a team is almost impossible to achieve a high score. Disadvantage 1. If you have a top-class midfielder, your midfield becomes useless. Disadvantage 2. If you have explosive wingers, your explosiveness becomes useless. Disadvantage 3. The defensive line bears a large share of passing and receiving tasks. It's the bottom of this once the bottom is breached, it's all over. Therefore, to prevent this, the defensive line cannot push forward and must remain deep, which creates a disconnect between the midfield and the defense. The gap between the midfield and defense becomes an opportunity for the opposing team to exploit, even if the opponent is significantly shorter. Defenders rushing forward risk leaving the byline exposed, while those who don't are left helpless as the opponent receives the ball with their back to goal. This heavily tests the defensive line's ability, coordination, and speed in covering. However, the big circle tactic is just a prototype. There's a lot of room for customization. For example, to address the gap in the middle, a technically gifted defensive midfielder with good speed can be added, utilizing their forward runs to enhance the midfield play. Alternatively, a striker with the ability to act as a pivot can frequently drop back, supporting attacks on the flanks and creating opportunities for link-up play with overlapping defensive midfielders. Another option is to give wingers more autonomy, relinquishing excessive possession to allow them to attack the opponent's defense. Or, a variation of the flying disc tactic could be employed, with attacks coming from both wings. Or, well, there's no single best tactic, only the most suitable one. Having more tactical options is a good thing. Moreover, a player's ability to quickly adapt to a tactic is itself a testament to their skill. Different tactics require different abilities. The more tactics you can adapt to, the higher your skill ceiling. Entertainment book recommendations. Chapter 233. Guardiola doesn't understand the hidden meaning. Although the Portuguese second division has concluded, Moreirense's season isn't completely over. They still have one last match, the Portuguese Cup final. Their opponent is the strongest of the three giants of the Portuguese league, Porto. This season, Porto lost Jardel, and their lack of firepower became immediately apparent. However, they haven't been without gains. Anderson Luis de Sasso, the young midfielder they acquired from Sargaush 2 years ago for €8 million, has had a breakout year. He's almost unstoppable in midfield, dominating the midfields of fellow Portuguese giants Benfica and Sporting Lisbon, earning the title of Portuguese League Midfielder of the Year. Meanwhile, Viana, hailed by Sporting Lisbon as Portugal's most talented left-winger, has also made appearances in the Portuguese League after recovering from injury, but hasn't fully adapted, spending most of his time on the bench. Of course, comparing Viana to this long list of players is unfair, as the latter was born in 1977, 6 years older than Viana. It's rumored that Barcelona, while observing Quaresma, was also watching this player this year. If it weren't for the outstanding performance of Xavi, a product of Barcelona's youth academy heavily promoted by Van Gaal, Barcelona might have extended an offer to this player with a long name this summer. Because his name is so long, his teammates call him Deco. Deco is perhaps the most successful case of naturalized players globally. Later, when the Chinese men's national football team implemented its naturalization policy, Deco was cited as an example several times. The improvement of the Portuguese national team by choosing Deco over Brazil is obvious. He not only filled the void left by Rui Costa's decline, but also led the team forward in his own way, achieving Portugal's best World Cup result. At his peak, Deco won the Portuguese Footballer of the Year award and finished second in the Ballon d'Or. Therefore, this Porto team is quite difficult to deal with. Since we're talking about Deco and the World Cup, we must mention the upcoming European Championship between Belgium and the Netherlands this summer. This is the first time the European Championship has been co-hosted by two countries. With the season over, all the national teams are preparing their squads. This could very well be the most exciting European championship in many people's minds. Before Deng Kai's own matches even started, numerous star players were already calling him, asking which teams he thought had a chance of winning the title this year. After all, this was the football expert who dared to bet on Croatia to reach the World Cup semi-finals and who dared to proclaim the treble-winning ambition 6 months in advance when Manchester United's situation was still very uncertain. Guardiola, Master, oops, Kai, do you think we can win the championship? Deng Kai, there's definitely a chance. Guardiola was overjoyed, really? That's great. Is there anything I should be careful about? Deng Kai, not really, but it's best to avoid macarons, foie gras, escargots, baguettes, etc., because... Guardiola interrupted, I know, those are all junk food, not good for athletes' health. Thanks, Kai, I'll have my national team teammates get you some autographed footballs tomorrow. Guardiola hung up the phone contentedly and gave Raul an okay sign. Seeing Guardiola hang up so quickly, Deng Kai knew that Guardiola still hadn't grasped his meaning. Macarons and foie gras are classic French delicacies. Deng Kai meant that you should avoid France as much as possible, but if you avoid France, well, you can't avoid it anyway. But Guardiola was being nice. Beckham frantically called Deng Kai, but Deng Kai rejected all his calls. Finally, Beckham had no choice but to ask his wife Victoria to ask Hathaway what was going on. Beckham was a senior figure, and so supportive of Deng Kai, so why wouldn't Deng Kai answer the phone at this crucial moment? Hathaway didn't even call Deng Kai herself, but instead told Victoria, somewhat shyly, Deng Kai didn't answer David's call, could that be a reply? Victoria's face turned pale. This, impossible. This is the England men's national football team. A team full of stars. Then, could you ask Kai how bad things are that he won't even answer the phone? Victoria was still somewhat unwilling to give up. Hathaway carefully considered her words, actually, Kay's predictions are just for show, they don't really count. I know everyone asks him, just hoping for good luck. Of course, it's good if he's optimistic, but just because he hasn't said anything doesn't mean it's bad, right? Victoria thought this made sense, and when she got back, she told Beckham that England would achieve a good result, which finally put Beckham to sleep. But Hathaway knew, at least from Kay's perspective, that England's situation in this year's European Championship wasn't optimistic. Because besides Beckham, Kay hadn't answered a single call from anyone else, Marin's boyfriend, Matthias. Marin had asked Hathaway for Kay's number, and Hathaway couldn't refuse. After all, they were both core members of the WAGs, Wives and Girlfriends, club. But Kay really didn't give Matthias any face at all. Matthias called several times, but he didn't answer once. Hathaway felt embarrassed by Marin's questions and could only ask Kay what was going on. Deng Kai bluntly told Hathaway, the German team will most likely be eliminated in the group stage this year. Since they beat the Czech Republic in 1996, they haven't won against any European team in recent years. There's a generational gap, their strength has declined. Matthias is already 39 years old, and he's still playing for the national team, and he's a starter. The present is different from the future. Future players will pay more attention to scientific diet and training, maintaining their peak at 35 and a high level of performance until 40. But the current generation of older players generally came from much earlier. Either their physical condition is extremely poor, with deficiencies in their youth, or they don't know how to maintain their health and fitness, causing their athletic ability to decline rapidly as they age. So Matthias is a bellwether. The older generation of German players, led by him, has seen a serious decline in ability. But even so, their younger players can't keep up. It's hopeless. Knowing all this, Hathaway couldn't say this directly to Marin, it would be too offensive, so she used roughly the same lines she had given Victoria earlier. Because Beckham and Matthias received the same treatment. Does that mean if Germany suffered the same fate, England will likely suffer the same? Deng Kai's prediction is really unfair. How could two such strong teams like England and Germany not even make it out of the group stage? Chapter 234 Portuguese Cup Final. England, Germany, Portugal, and Romania are in the same group for the European Championship. If England and Germany are eliminated in the group stage, then Portugal and Romania will advance. This is the destruction of traditional powerhouses by a golden generation. Portugal's golden generation is led by Figo and Rui Costa. Romania's golden generation is led by the midfield maestro Hagi. The former is in its prime, the latter is still in its twilight. I'm being unfair by making such an outrageous prediction. May 29th. National Stadium, Portugal. The Portuguese Cup final is about to begin. This stadium is the permanent venue for the Portuguese Cup final, with 37,000 seats. But because the fans are so enthusiastic, at least 50,000 people have flooded the stadium today, which is still within a safe range. Among these fans, there are about 3,000 Moreirense supporters. This small team in the Portuguese second division has shown tremendous popularity this year. In the past, their home games could not even fill 1,500 seats. Now, 3,000 people have come to Lisbon to watch the game. It has to be said that the Portuguese second division championship has ignited the football dreams of too many people. There were over 35,000 Sporting Lisbon fans. That's incredible. This number is simply outrageous. This isn't a Moreirense match, it's practically a Sporting Lisbon match. And Sporting Lisbon hasn't had this kind of fanbase in recent years. The underdog has surpassed the real one, the reserve team is more popular than the first team. Most Sporting Lisbon fans haven't seen a champion in at least 3 to 5 years. Now that their own youth academy is competing for the Portuguese Cup, who else would they support but them? Meanwhile, Porto only had 10,000 fans, which is rather disappointing. But from the Porto fans' perspective, it's understandable. Before this year, they were the absolute champions of the Portuguese league, winning 3 consecutive titles. They were almost always double champions during that period. They also competed in the Champions League. Playing in the Europa League was almost embarrassing. They'd seen it all. But what happened this season? After losing their goal-scoring machine, Jardel, Porto finished second to Boavista in the league, letting a nobody disrupt their 10-year plan to dominate the Portuguese league. What's the point of watching football then? A mere Portuguese Cup, even if won, isn't that appealing. Therefore, Porto fans weren't really interested. This resulted in Moreirense receiving home field advantage. Moreirense fielded their usual lineup. Porto, seeing it was the final, also fielded their strongest lineup. One noteworthy player up front was their right winger, Carpucho. According to Portuguese naming conventions, this is clearly not his real name, but we won't elaborate further. Because Carpucho's defining characteristic isn't his name, but his identity. That's right, he's a member of Portugal's golden generation. Deng Kai's heart pounded the moment he saw him. The glory of Portugal's golden generation? Brother, you have to deliver, you have to bring it to the table. The 3 midfielders are all very distinctive. Attacking midfielder Deco. Defensive midfielder Emilio Paix. All-around midfielder Ricardo André Sasso, whose father, Antonio Sasso, is one of Porto's top 10 all-time stars, a true Porto sign. The 4 defenders are Rubens Jr., Alger Fuchs, Jorge Costa, and Carlos Alberto. Goalkeeper, Hilario. Today, Deng Kai refreshed the Cristiano Ronaldo's missed trophy attribute, which only provides a slight shooting bonus. Unlucky. Not the effect itself, but the name that dropped is unlucky. Ronaldo, damn, using it and then cursing it? Whistle. With the sound of the whistle, the match officially began. Although there weren't many media present, the fans were enthusiastic. Both teams were quite engaged. After the first 3 minutes of probing, Porto undoubtedly controlled possession. They began to launch attacks under Deco's organization. In the 4th, 7th, 11th, and 18th minutes, Porto launched several threatening attacks. However, Moreirense was in good spirits today, and his players defended very diligently. For a time, Porto were somewhat at a loss. A team's attack, organization, and defense are interdependent. To put it bluntly, if the forwards attack well, the opponent is compressed, the midfield can organize more easily, and the defense won't be challenged. It's a win-win situation. But today, Porto's forwards clearly failed to accomplish this. Their attacking quality was low. Despite having a strong midfield, the forwards couldn't capitalize on opportunities. Several attempts to dribble past defenders on the wings failed. Honestly, Moreirense's fullbacks were defensively abysmal. If you can't even handle that, how can your attack possibly improve? Alex, WTF. Seraphim, MMP. Since Porto lacked high-quality attacks, the team's midfield, led by Duncan, immediately became more active. They continuously expanded their defensive range. Originally, Porto had pushed the 3 lines into a single line, with the distance between forwards and center-backs less than 15 meters. But now, with the midfield pushing forward, the distance between Moreirense's forwards and defenders was almost 30 meters. This expanded formation meant a more layered defense and more passing options. This resulted in increased possession. Deng Kai began frequently passing the ball to his teammates. The situation shifted from Porto dominating Moreirense to both sides maintaining possession and exchanging attacks. To be precise, Moreirense had fewer attacks. However, almost every attack they launched penetrated the opponent's attacking third, culminating in a shot. Porto's attacks, on the other hand, often resulted in losses during passing combinations on the flanks. Both types of attacks are threatening when successful, but the difference in their failure is significant. The former avoids counterattacks because it requires waiting for the goalkeeper to kick the ball. But the latter, a successful interception leads to an immediate counterattack, easily catching the defense off guard. In a situation of equal possession and opportunities, the side with a more threatening attack gains a growing advantage. Moreirense began to keep the ball in Porto's half for extended periods. At this point, while Porto maintained some possession, their possession had shifted from effective possession aimed at initiating attacks to an effective possession aimed at evading the opponent's pressing. In League of Legends parlance, this meant the economic gap between the two sides had widened significantly at this point. Missing out on the league title had a devastating impact on the morale of the Porto players. It wasn't that the players were intentionally tanking, they just lacked motivation. Like someone who can't be with their favorite girl. Some people just give up on everyone else, it's all the same. These people aren't inherently bad, but their behavior is truly despicable. Deco, as the shining midfield maestro of Porto, keenly recognized this. He began to actively increase the pace, attempting to turn the tide through his individual abilities. With superstar potential, he truly succeeded. Chapter 235 Battle for Morale. In the 37th minute, Deco dribbled past several players before delivering a superb pass. The ball flew towards the far post, its speed not particularly fast, perfect for his teammate to handle. Capucho, unmarked, unleashed a powerful shot, a decent choice indeed. But, with a clang, the ball struck the crossbar and bounced away. When your team is on the rise, even a missed shot can energize the team. But when things are going downhill, such a shot is truly demoralizing. Even Deco felt a chill. Missing such a good scoring opportunity makes one wonder whose jersey God is wearing today. In the 41st minute, Deco shone again, a surgical through ball. Holy crap! After passing the ball, Deco realized that Deng Kai was near that passing path. Could he be? Bang! Deng Kai slid in and intercepted. A transparent figure on the field, YYDS. But the main problem was Deco's continuous flashes of brilliance. Occasional flashes of brilliance are naturally unexpected. But if you keep flashing, you become a third wheel, don't you? It's hard for Deng Kai not to notice you, little DZ. Deng Kai got up and dribbled the ball, ready to launch a counter-attack. But the next moment, Deng Kai fell to the ground. Porto midfielder Sasso fouled him. The referee blew his whistle, indicating a foul by the Porto player. But the usually calm Deng Kai quickly got up and let out an angry roar, gesturing wildly as he charged towards Sasso. Sasso ignored Deng Kai and retreated menacingly to his own half. The referee also came over to calm Deng Kai down, while calling Sasso back and warning him. Why is Kai so agitated? Isn't this a bit much? He's the midfield maestro, after all. If he doesn't act rationally. Moreirense's assistant coach was somewhat worried. This was his design, Trigura explained. Professional players have been playing for a long time, most of them understand each other's intentions and goals. Some fouls may seem minor, but players can explode instantly, even teammates might rush in and attack the fouler. In these situations, the opponent's foul might not just be about the ball, nor even have a footballing purpose. Most likely, there's an intention to deliberately injure the opponent. In the Qatar World Cup match between the Netherlands and Argentina, the injured Dutch centre-back Timber, with his arm bandaged, shoved his teammate Dumfries after he was fouled, earning a yellow card. This was because the foul on Dumfries wasn't a normal tactical foul. Stepping on someone's Achilles tendon from behind without any leverage is intentionally designed to injure them. Everyone knows that Dumfries, who contributed 2 assists and a goal in the previous match, was a key part of the Dutch team's attack. Van Gaal didn't focus on Dumfries in this match, precisely because he was worried about neutralizing him and thus hindering his own progress. Returning to the match, Deng Kai's anger was different from Timber's. Sasso didn't intend to injure Deng Kai. His foul was tactical, aimed at preventing a counter-attack. The side that initiates the foul usually achieves their goal after bringing down the opponent. Therefore, they generally don't argue with the opponent's complaints because they know they are in the wrong. Yes, I did it, I wanted you to stop, possession remains, it's in accordance with the rules of football, and I bear the consequences. Part of these consequences is accepting the opponent's anger after being fouled. What truly ignites on-field conflicts is often the unclear determination of responsibility, when both sides believe the other is at fault. Of course, if you completely lack professional ethics and a sense of right and wrong, you can argue after fouling someone, saying they fell on their own, not that I brought them down, but that's disgusting. However, Sasso failed to notice that with Deng Kai's complaints, Morientes' morale soared. Besides fouling, don't you have any other way to stop Kai? I didn't even dare to make a sound after Kai yelled at me. Dare to foul Kai? I'll get you next time. He's already been warned by the referee, maybe another time we'll get him a yellow card. Trash Kai, pass the ball before you go down. The Morientes players had different thoughts, and apart from a few exceptions like Ronaldo, most were quite moving. In the 42nd minute, after Duncan took a free kick from the backfield, Alex and Flavio combined on the right flank, with Alex successfully reaching the byline. But Sasso followed well, continuously pressuring Alex. Alex was pushed and stumbled, but finally managed to kick the ball off Sasso before it went out of bounds. Corner kick. Roar. Alex excitedly patted his chest, pleased with himself for winning a corner kick. He raised his hands, signaling the fans to cheer and put pressure on the opponent. Morientes' morale was almost at its peak. Bang! After Alex took the corner kick, the ball was cleared out of the penalty area by Porto's Fuchs. Deng Kai and Deco fiercely contested for the ball. Deco, being taller, used both hands and feet to push Deng Kai over. However, the reason Deng Kai was easily overpowered was because he was hooking the ball to the side. Bang! Deng Kai fell to the ground, and the ball was passed again. Seraphim crossed the ball, another chance. Deco quickly rushed into the penalty area to defend. The referee put his whistle in his mouth, giving a favorable attacking signal. Deco's foul on Deng Kai was clearly a foul. Bang! Porto's center back, with good skill, cleared the ball again. Deco watched the ball fly over his head. With his accurate judgment of the landing point, he felt the ball was heading towards where he had just come from. He should have known better than to run. Wait, not run? Deco turned his head. Deng Kai got up from the ground, looking up at the ball, seemingly preparing to stop it. Deco immediately counterattacked, even slipping slightly. Several other Porto players shared Deco's idea. Given their speed, they figured they'd have a chance to stop Deng Kai's pass after he controlled it. Bang! Almost all the Porto players were stunned. Facing the incoming ball, Deng Kai simply lifted his foot and lobbed it back into the penalty area. Control? Forget about it. When it comes to passing, Deng Kai prioritizes speed. There's always faster. A lob pass. Deng Kai is too fast. But not only did the Porto defenders not expect it, the Morientes players also seemed surprised. Most of both sides missed that header. Moreover, this kind of volley is difficult to control the power of. The ball was clearly a bit too long, landing too deep at the far post. But Ronaldo hasn't given up, he's still trying to reach the ball. Chapter 236 The Aesthetics of Violence. Cristiano Ronaldo leaped, awkwardly tossing his head back to catch the ball, and then headed it back. Anderson, reacting quickly, headed the ball into the net before the goalkeeper could react. A header relay. Goal. Unexpected. Morientes took the lead first. Their strong attack paid off. Porto played increasingly conservatively in the latter part of the first half, so this result isn't surprising. Ronaldo has provided his 6th assist of the tournament. Congratulations to him. He has already secured the Portuguese Cup assist title. Deco sighed near the penalty area line. He certainly felt the change in team morale, and he had intended to talk to the coach during halftime to resolve the issue. Unfortunately, he was too late. In fact, if the coach is capable enough, he can change the team's morale through on-field adjustments. The coach has a godlike perspective and can identify their strongest players. By focusing on those players and creating one or two threatening attacks, the situation can be reversed immediately. Deco glanced at the coaching bench. It has to be said, this coach is truly mediocre. He and Augusto, whom Sporting Lisbon previously sacked, are both typical old-school Portuguese coaches. No strengths, no weaknesses. Could Porto find a truly capable coach? Otherwise, under this Fernando Santos, Deco feels it will be difficult to win a championship in a closely contested match. Don't be fooled by Porto's numerous titles, that was mainly due to their superior squad. Without Jardel this year, things have changed. The match then went into halftime. The situation in the Porto dressing room was similar to Deco's expectations. He reported the situation to the coach, but the coach's abilities were limited. Although he made tactical adjustments, he didn't solve the fundamental problem. Not all tactical changes are effective, especially when the opponent has a clever midfield playmaker. At the start of the second half, Porto launched several more attacks, seemingly gaining the upper hand again. But this was merely due to Santos's motivational efforts. In less than 10 minutes, Moreirense, led by Duncan, regained possession, control of the ball area, and number of attacks. The game was returning to the rhythm of the first half. Deco had no choice but to exert himself early, relying on his individual ability to frequently break through and create scoring opportunities. Moreirense's midfielders Emerson and Macedo received consecutive yellow cards. Trigura, seeking stability, substituted Macedo with defensive midfielder Cordeiro to maintain the defensive quality against Deco. In the 71st minute, Deco and Sasso exchanged a 1-2, and Deco passed a ball to Capucho. Capucho skillfully passed it back, and Deco made a run and unleashed a long-range shot. This was Porto's second such good scoring opportunity of the match. However, Deco's inconsistent shooting style was evident in this shot. The ball went just over the crossbar. As Deco turned and ran back to his own half, he let out a roar. He knew he had missed a valuable chance. He still had much to improve in terms of shooting. In the 75th minute, having tasted the benefits of quick passing in close quarters, Sasso and Deco executed another beautiful 1-2. Deco made a pass and then surged forward. Given another long-range shot opportunity, he was certain he would seize it. Bang! Kirip didn't give Deco the chance, risking a header to intercept the ball early. Making a high-quality defensive play. Kirip then passed the ball to Deng Kai. Deng Kai dodged the on-rushing Sasso with a quick dribbling move and launched a counter-attack. Porto's defensive skills were also excellent, blocking Deng Kai's passing position to Ronaldo. Alex, trying to accelerate, was brought down. The referee again gave a favorable attacking signal, unable to award a direct penalty. This was Porto's targeted defensive strategy. By blocking Ronaldo and Alex, Moreirense's counter-attacks lacked power. Bang! In the middle. Facing Porto's defensive midfielder Piquez, Deng Kai suddenly flicked the ball at least 10 meters away. This move stunned everyone. This is a perfectly fair and square head-on dribble past him. Deng Kai wants to outrun Pex with his speed? How is that possible? Does he think he's Ronaldo? The next moment, the astonishment continued to grow. Because Deng Kai actually overtook Pex in the sprint. Pex pulled at Deng Kai. Deng Kai slapped Pex's hand back, making it red. Cruyff's palm still hurt. Outrun him. Deng Kai outruns Pex with his speed. Incredible. With his increased height, Deng Kai's speed has also improved significantly this season. He's definitely one of the most mobile midfielders now. Bang! Deng Kai spotted Ronaldo running into space just outside the penalty area, passed the ball, and then positioned himself. Pex rushed in from behind, heading towards the penalty area to cover Ronaldo. But Ronaldo, after receiving the ball, flicked it twice with his toes, realized there was no opportunity, and passed it back. Pex missed the ball. Bang! Outside the penalty area, Deng Kai unleashed a powerful shot. Thanks to Deco for the rocket. Deng Kai successfully ignited a star player's What's Ronaldo compared to that? His shooting ability skyrocketed. Why shouldn't he dare to shoot from a distance? Although the distance was a bit far, his shot was almost completely unimpeded. And because Ronaldo had pulled a defender to the left, Deng Kai's shooting path was virtually unobstructed. Pax, am I invisible? Deng Kai's move surprised not only everyone else, but even Ronaldo himself. Ronaldo had planned to pass back to Deng Kai, who would then repeat the previous goal, lobbing the ball deep into the penalty area without stopping it. Ronaldo had already started sprinting after passing the ball. Of course, if Ronaldo had followed his plan, the attack would have failed. The opponent had marked Ronaldo closely. And the opposing goalkeeper, Alario, deliberately stepped up to prevent Deng Kai from exploiting the space between the center-back and the goalkeeper. But through a mishap, Ronaldo's movement created cover for Deng Kai. Deng Kai's powerful shot. The football schemed along the grass, kicking up a flurry of green dust. Pax raised his leg to intercept, causing the ball to slip between his legs. Frankly, he'd rather Deng Kai ignored him. That way, Deng Kai might have fired a half-high ball, which Pax would have intercepted. A low shot from outside the penalty area, that shot selection was too absurd. This goal was absolutely impossible. Bang! The ball bounced as it approached the goalkeeper, affected by the uneven grass. Ilario dived to intercept, and the ball bounced just over his spread legs. Swish! The ball went into the net. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Football doesn't have that many miracles. Goal. Deng Kai scores again. This is his 7th goal in this competition. Both are long-range shots, but Deng Kai's is much better than Deco's just now. Perhaps Deco is better in other aspects, but in terms of shooting technique, Deng Kai is second to none. A powerful, long-range, low shot. Deng Kai, the world-class goal specialist, helps his team extend their lead. This goal even reminds one of Batistuta, the god of war against Fiorentina. This is absolutely a violent aesthetic. Oh. Deng Kai is celebrating by taking off his shirt. He's excited, he thinks the score can't possibly change anymore. So getting a yellow card doesn't matter. However, in reality, Deng Kai getting a yellow card is a dangerous thing. Because in the next game, his main focus will be on the defensive end, on containing Deco. But he still wants to celebrate by taking off his shirt. Besides taking advantage of the Gabi's red card yellow card boost effect, Deng Kai also wants to further undermine the confidence of the Porto players. Players who think they are stronger will immediately counterattack after falling behind. But when their comeback failed and they fell behind again, their mentality was mostly, we didn't play well this time, let's try again next time. Because they were 2 goals down, their chances of winning were less than 10%. But if they played again, their chances of winning were as high as 80%. Everyone knows which choice to make, because they are optimistic about the future, they are prone to giving up. In the same situation, a weaker team is 2 goals down, with a 5% chance of winning. But if they played again, their chances of winning were only 10%. If possible, they would certainly want to put all their energy into this game, because they don't want to experience the pain again. Because they are pessimistic about the future, they are unwilling to give up. In the 83rd minute, Deng Kai made a flying tackle on Deco, almost receiving his 2nd yellow card. If his tackle hadn't been perfectly executed, it would have been very dangerous. In the 87th minute, Cordeiro fouled Deco and received a yellow card. Porto won a free kick in an excellent position. This time, Deco didn't make a mistake, he demonstrated his strength, though his shooting technique wasn't great, his shot was very powerful, and his free kick technique was indeed excellent. The ball struck like a perfect shot, directly into the goal, 1-2. Porto still has a chance? Only Deco himself believed that. Even if he got another free kick, could he score directly again? Impossible. Football doesn't have that many miracles. In the 93rd minute, with Ronaldo clearing the ball with a header, Deng Kai kicked the ball long towards midfield, and the referee blew the final whistle. Deco's spirits were instantly drained. He looked at the Moreirense players rushing onto the field to celebrate, sweating profusely, and suddenly felt that all of this was unreal. Porto actually lost to Portuguese 2nd division team. The key was that his teammates around him didn't seem to regret it. Perhaps their share of regrets for this year had already been used up after the team lost the league title. Deco looked at the excitedly celebrating Ronaldo and couldn't help but sigh, this kid seems to have never won a championship. Can I have your jersey? I'm your fan. Someone walked up to Deco. Deco turned around and saw Deng Kai. Deco smiled bitterly, you're my fan again? Do you even know my full name? Can I not give it to you? It was clear Deco harbored resentment towards Deng Kai. Deng Kai also took off his jersey and exchanged it with Deco. Don't do that, your jersey is actually quite valuable. Oops, I mean, we're actually quite destined for each other. Deco said, what, are we going to play in the same league next season? You're really good. When I was your age, I hadn't even made it to the professional leagues, let alone a league like the Portuguese Super League. Deng Kai shook his head, indicating that their destiny wasn't there. Your name is Deco, and in China, the abbreviation is the same as mine, we're both DK. Really? Deco was amused, then that really is destiny. So from now on you'll be the Portuguese Deco, and I'll be the Brazilian Deng Kai? Ha ha ha. Deng Kai laughed along, but what he was thinking was, I might not be the Portuguese Deco, and you might not be the Brazilian Deng Kai, buddy. Afterwards, Deng Kai, Ronaldo, and Deco were interviewed by reporters. Then, the entire Moreirense team raised the championship trophy once again on the stage that had been set up. This Portuguese Cup is Moreirense's first top-tier domestic trophy in club history. It's also their first cup title. Compared to the Portuguese second division, the Portuguese Cup carries far greater prestige. The former comes with the added benefit of promotion to the Portuguese Super League, while the latter guarantees participation in the UEFA Cup, the future Europa League. Only the third, fourth, and fifth place teams in the Portuguese Super League qualify for this competition. The UEFA Cup recently incorporated the European Cup Winners' Cup, further enhancing its prestige and making it the second highest European competition after the Champions League. These competitions are practically guaranteed to pay out in prize money. This single achievement has made Moreirense incredibly wealthy. However, both Duncan and Trigura advised Moreirense's owners to be content and not to overextend themselves by buying players on a spending spree just because they've secured the Europa League and promotion to the Portuguese Super League. It won't work. This season, Moreirense has essentially reached the ceiling of their core players. Replacing Duncan with Zidane or Ronaldo with Vieri wouldn't change anything. Unless you replace Gillip with Cannavaro, Alex with Maldini, Flavio with Beckham, and so on, wouldn't that be replacing the whole team? Take the money, add a few strong players, and see if they can stay in the Portuguese league with the goal of avoiding relegation. If they don't stay, this money is enough for Moreirense to have the ability to get promoted to the Portuguese second division in the next 3 to 5 years. That's enough. You can't expect one miracle to completely turn things around. Top clubs and top players are built up from one miracle after another. Moreirense, a team in the Portuguese second division, creates a miracle, breaking Portugal's 10-year monopoly on the Portuguese Cup. DK in the Portuguese second division defeats DK in the Portuguese first division. Duncan leads his team to victory over Porto. The Portuguese first division's best midfielder is no match for the Portuguese second division's best midfielder. Portuguese Cup awards announced. Moreirense becomes the biggest winner. Portuguese Cup assist king. Who says Ronaldo can't pass? Porto loses 2 trophies in a row. Jardel's role is highlighted. Fans are calling for the club to buy him back. Porto fans angrily burn jerseys, saying everyone except Deco's performance is garbage. Miracle. Moreirense will not only play in the Portuguese league next season, but also in the UEFA Cup. The Portuguese Cup best side has been announced, including Duncan, Ronaldo, Deco, Gomes, Sasso, Carap, Font, and others. Chapter 238: A love-hate relationship that shocked the football world. Sporting Lisbon's official website banner. Congratulations to club academy player Cristiano Ronaldo for winning multiple honors including Best Forward, Best Zai, and Top Assist in the Portuguese Cup. Sporting Lisbon's official website promotional message. Congratulations to club academy player Deng Kai for winning multiple honors including Best Player, Best Midfielder, Best Zai, and Top Scorer in the Portuguese Cup. He is our pride. Materazzi, Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo are in my plans for next season. They will break records and enter the Sporting Lisbon first team, becoming the youngest first team players. Moreirense club president, we tried our best to keep them, but Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo belong to Sporting Lisbon. They should play on a bigger stage. Deng Kai bids farewell to Moreirense. I haven't slept well for the past 6 months because I came to Moreirense and got playing time, but what have I left behind? Now, I can finally rest assured. I can proudly tell everyone that I left Moreirense with 2 championship trophies. Thank you for your support. Moreirense will always be my second home. More than 80% of Moreirense residents bid farewell to Deng Kai. They said they would always support Deng Kai, Cristiano Ronaldo. Damn. Why are you the big poster and I'm just the banner poster? Deng Kai, don't say that. I added I am the pride of the club at the end. Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo, don't you feel disgusted when you hear what you said to Moreirense fans? Count how many second homes you have now. Deng Kai, I said it once when I visited your house last time, once when I accompanied Hathaway to the Oscars, once to my neighbors in the Chinese community, once to the CCTV interview team from China, once to Manchester United fans. It's normal, although scumbags fall in love with every girl they meet, They are indeed serious about each one. Font: doesn't anyone care that my loan period is over and I'm going back to Sporting Lisbon? Perhaps because the Portuguese Cup ended so late this year, the Portuguese Cup, which is not usually very popular among major European competitions, suddenly received coverage from major media outlets. Not just Portuguese media, but the entire European media. The reason is simple: after the major competitions end, there's nothing left to report. Before the major news related to the European Championship, winning the Portuguese Cup was at least a legitimate story. After all, many authoritative media outlets can't report on things like XXX has reported to the national team training base, XXX hasn't reported to the national team training base yet, or XXX said they were preparing to report. News information also has different types and levels. You can have the latest leads, but you also need comprehensive columns. You need to follow up on hot topics, but you also need to trace the roots and delve into key events. Record, thanks to a series of articles by its special correspondent Zhang Yunzhu, made a name for itself in the European football media. Through a series of reports, it successfully broke into the top tier of European football media magazines. Zhang Yunzhu's series of reports on Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo became a classic case study in football media operations, and was included in marketing textbooks at major European universities. The news started with a Portuguese Cup victory. Youth players leading a Portuguese second-tier team to victory over the three giants of the Portuguese top league. This topic was obviously very eye-catching. The key is that further in-depth analysis is also easy to arrange. This team went from last place in the second half of the season to winning the championship and promotion. They added 2 trophies to a team that had never won a title before. The team not only poached players, but also acquired more. Winter signings Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo won the Portuguese second division's top assist and top scorer awards respectively, and even the best player, best midfielder, and best forward awards weren't spared. Superstars, right? And the key is, there's still more to discover. Deng Kai played in the Portuguese Youth League U17 in the first half of the season, winning the U17 top scorer and top assist awards in just half a season. Isn't that amazing? Initially, many parents were unconvinced that Deng Kai won the best player award after only half a season in the U17. But now, who can disagree? Winning the U17 best player award in just half a season is an understatement. He won the Portuguese second division best player and Portuguese Cup best player awards in the second half of the season. Who else can compare? Then came Cristiano Ronaldo, who lost consciousness on the field in the first match of the first half of the season and underwent surgery after being diagnosed with a serious heart condition. Just when everyone thought his career was over before it even began, he rose from the ashes in the Portuguese second division, a triumphant return. Half a season as the Portuguese second division Golden Boot winner and the Portuguese Cup assist leader. Who else but Deng Kai could pull that off? These stories dominated headlines daily, leaving European football fans dizzy with excitement. And that's not all. A year earlier, Deng Kai and Ronaldo, at the age of 13, played in the U15 league, conquering Portugal's U15 Youth League, sweeping the top scorer, top assist provider, and various best player awards. They even won the inaugural UEFA Youth League. And again, they took home the top scorer, top assist provider, and various best player awards. Unbelievable, isn't it? And that's not all. Last summer, in the UEFA European Under-16 tournament hosted by the Czech Republic, both were exceptionally called up. With key players suffering injuries, they carried the team, leading them to a resounding victory and continuing the glory of Portugal's golden generation. Now some people are calling them the Diamond Generation of Portugal. Is this the end of the news feature after all the hype? That would be too data-driven. True top-tier journalists know how to tell a story. Zhang Yunzhu clearly has a deep understanding of women's literature. A wave of headlines like you only see a past CD of them fighting side by side, but you don't know they once led their respective teams with mutual respect, has left fans completely bewildered. What? Haven't Deng Kai and Ronaldo been best friends since childhood? 2 years ago, Deng Kai won the Portuguese Diamond Generation Invitational Tournament, defeating Cristiano Ronaldo. 5 years ago, Deng Kai won the Portuguese Football Federation Golden Boy Cup, defeating the absolute core of the Madeira Nacional youth team, who was still Ronaldo. From lifelong rivals to teammates you can entrust everything to. From on-field clashes to moving into Deng Kai's house. Deng Kai and Ronaldo are Portugal's Superman and Batman, The West Sun Wukong and Calabash brothers. The hype is flying high. Other European media outlets were stunned. It would be a miracle if they didn't award them the Ballon d'Or. This reporter is incredible. Just look at the profile. Zhang Yunzhu, deputy editor-in-chief of the Chinese football media outlet Sports Weekly, enjoys the same treatment as deputy editor-in-chief at the authoritative Portuguese media outlet Record. Indeed, reputation precedes influence. Those who rise to the top are all exceptional individuals. P.S. I want all subscriptions, rewards, monthly tickets, recommendation tickets, character updates, and positive reviews in the comments section. Please support me. I can't read County Committee Compound anymore, so everyone go to the latest episode and spam me with a fat peach book friend reporting in. I may not be there in person, but my heart is with you. Chapter 239. Thank you to my father, Deng Kai. Of course, true talent comes from within, and Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo's resumes over the past 2 years are truly forged in gold. Other clubs cultivate superstars mainly through hype, especially Barcelona later on. Various talent agencies also have their own tricks, making stats look ridiculously low. But Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo are unique. The former is short and physically weak, the latter has average ball control and uncoordinated movements. They didn't seem like easy candidates for packaging. So how did they become superstars? Through championships. 6 titles in 2 years. It sounds terrifying. Deng Kai, I'm reporting that Ronaldo only has 5 titles, he doesn't have a U17 title. Cristiano Ronaldo, seriously? A U17 title is a title? Deng Kai, whether it's a title or a title, I have one more than you. Cristiano Ronaldo. However, when it comes to media manipulation, Zhang Yunzhu has made a stunning debut this year. But the veterans from previous years are not to be outdone. While a host of shocked media outlets were marveling at Record's good fortune in seizing a major breaking news story, the Sun didn't just sit idly by. They took action. They used their own methods to sell their news like crazy. The Sun's annual bombshell, players' wives will help Manchester United take off. Matthäus is coming to Old Trafford. This statement ignited the attention that had gathered across Europe because of Deng Kai and Ronaldo, directing it towards the entire football world. Gathering attention and then releasing it, that's what's known as influence in social media. For example, Bingbing's affair with a celebrity brought national attention to the topic of celebrities escaping a sexual encounter. This then spread, leading to the emergence of a series of celebrities like Shuang, Lun, Yang, and Jiaqi, and even circles outside the entertainment industry. So, when discussing these events later, Bingbing inevitably comes up. Gathering, spreading, and gathering again, Record accomplished a gathering phase. The Sun, on the other hand, achieved the release. Because their subsequent reporting was also deeply connected to Deng Kai. The Sun reports, the Players' Wives Association is formed by the celebrity wives of players, aiming to facilitate friendly exchanges while making the most of available resources. Core members include Victoria Beckham, Lothar Matthäus' girlfriend Maren, and Hathaway, Deng Kai's girlfriend. Because of the different statuses of the players and these female celebrities, this circle provides convenience for the powerful and benefits for the less powerful. Beckham frequently mentions Deng Kai's name, and Matthäus recently spoke about him during national team training. This undoubtedly increases Deng Kai's exposure, drawing more attention from football figures. Given his exceptional talent and such attention, Deng Kai's rapid rise in the past 2 years is understandable. Currently, Sporting Lisbon coach Materazzi, under pressure from the media and the club, has announced that Deng Kai will join the first team next season. In other words, Deng Kai is very likely to become the youngest player to appear in the Portuguese league, or even score a goal or assist, without exception. His professional career started much earlier than the average player. Even in the Premier League, which favors promoting young talent, superstars often don't make it to the first team until they are 17 or 18. Our research shows that stars like Guardiola, Figo, and Zidane frequently mention Deng Kai, leading to speculation that they might also have female celebrities or models as lovers. Good heavens! After the Sun's speculation, several stars came forward to clarify, stating they absolutely had no extramarital affairs. Manchester United quickly clarified that they would never extend an offer to a player over 35 years old, even if they were a Ballon d'Or winner. Cristiano Ronaldo? Manchester United, well, unless he has enormous commercial value. Besides these individuals, many other stars privately contacted Deng Kai, indicating they would no longer send him footballs. Deng Kai was furious. Blocking someone's path to wealth is like killing their parents. This is an irreconcilable enmity. The son, you bastard, are ruining my livelihood. I'll definitely buy you out. Deng's father? Deng's mother? Murdoch? Under pressure, Deng Kai quickly clarified with Zhang Yunzu's help, the players' wives gathering is just a term used by outsiders. In reality, it's just a get-together of close female friends from the same circle. Don't demonize this normal social interaction. Many players frequently mention me and support my teammates, which is an honor for me. They all appreciate me, and I'm grateful to them. But at the same time, our main conversations revolve around predictions for major sporting events. Everyone knows I have a history of somewhat neurotic predictions, so even if it's just for good luck, they'll contact me hoping I'll predict good results for their teams. Good fortune, who doesn't like that? The newspaper even titled this post "Stop Pretending, I Really Am a Lucky Charm." The term lucky charm isn't understood by Europeans, but it's essentially a mascot. Now, mascot has become a term for players who lack ability. But in fact, mascots, as symbols of good fortune, once held a very important place in the hearts of various teams and fans. People say Chinese people are superstitious and Westerners are scientific, but superstition exists everywhere, and it might even be more prevalent in the West. However, due to the added value of the economy, some people who have been kneeling for too long automatically interpret this with double standards. The country still allows these people to read more books, enabling them to beautify the outside and vilify the inside. After Deng Kai's interview was published, many football stars affirmed it. As more and more football stars stood up, people also learned the truth. European betting is booming, and we should thank Brother Kai for cultivating their confidence. But most football stars kept silent about Deng Kai's predictions, saying that this would make them more accurate. But some media noticed that Guardiola was almost grinning from ear to ear when talking about the Spanish team's performance in this year's European Championship. Guardiola's smile, you know. Could it be that Deng Kai believes the Spanish team can lift the European Championship? My God. Is it really Spain? For a time, the Spanish team became the favorite to win the championship. After all, this team is one of the powerhouses in European football. Now with the charlatan Deng Kai's support, although it can't be said that they will definitely win the championship, the semifinals are definitely not a problem, right? Major media outlets congratulated the Spanish team in advance. Guardiola has also been frequently giving interviews, smiling and expressing his gratitude. Honestly, he's already preparing his speeches for this year's Ballon d'Or and FIFA World Player of the Year awards ceremonies. What will his first sentence be? Thank you to my father, Deng Kai, P.S. Time for lunch, then I'll continue writing and post it as soon as I finish. Thanks to all the readers who subscribed and tipped. Keep it up. Chapter 240. Thanks to Deco for sending the rocket. Pshaw. It should be thanking my father, mother, and Deng Kai. Yeah, that's the right format. In the entire European football world, apart from Portuguese fans, no one is skeptical of Spain and Guardiola. But it's really hard for Portuguese fans to relate, because Guardiola is an insult there, used to describe someone as unlucky. Spain has Guardiola on the national team. The Portuguese translation is Spain is really unlucky, Ling. You have won a match, your rating is SS. You have received 2-star player drops. The glory of Portugal's golden generation, 2/5, the golden generation is just a general term. Not all members of the golden generation can be remembered by the world. Someone always has to play a supporting role. Defensive positioning +1, interception +2, tackle +2, clearance +2, block +2. Collect all the glory to receive a generous reward. Deco's choice. Deco, a Brazilian, accepted the Portuguese Football Federation's naturalization for his football dream, played for the Portuguese national team and succeeded. As a Chinese, you have a chance to choose at the age of 18. But no matter who you choose, you will trigger the reward for the side you did not choose. Ling. Deco's choice has determined your affiliation in advance. You have received the nationality selection reward. You chose Chinese nationality and received the height limit unlock reward +20 cm. You chose Portuguese nationality and received the random 3 physical rating limit unlock reward +5. This works too? Deng Kai was dumbfounded. His height increased too fast, like a tornado. He completely ignored the glory of Portugal's golden generation. This should have been Capucho's doing, utterly useless. Portugal's golden generation, say that again? But Deco really delivered. Deng Kai's request for the jersey wasn't in vain. Deco's experience has been discussed before. He's the most typical example of a successful naturalized player. His dropping might not be useful to others, but for Deng Kai, it was a godsend. It turns out there are rewards for choosing nationality. Deco's choice essentially gave Deng Kai 2 nationality benefits. A perfect example of wanting both. Deng Kai received both benefits. The former is the height ceiling bonus. This means that although Deng Kai is currently only 1.65 meters tall, his future peak height will be 1.85 meters. Forget about whether that's enough, he has more than that. Looking at the football world, top midfielders are almost all around 1.75 meters tall: Modric, Pirlo, Van der Vaart, Huggy. Shorter players like Xavi, Iniesta, and Sneijder are 1.7 meters. Taller players like De Bruyne, Rui Costa, Lampard, and Gerrard are around 1.8 meters tall. Who else is 1.85 meters tall besides Zidane and Kaká? Even Cristiano Ronaldo's actual height is only around 1.83 to 1.85 meters, right? Ronaldo, you'll never see those two whirls on my head again. Of course, this height doesn't grow overnight. Deng Kai's first growth spurt is over. He'll likely enter his second growth spurt around age 18. This follows the natural growth pattern. Boys typically experience rapid growth between 14 and 18 years old, but it's divided into stages. If your first growth spurt is at 14, your second will be at least 3 years later. Deng Kai experienced a growth spurt last summer. Even though he's now broken the height ceiling, it'll probably be another 2 years before he truly reaches 1.8 meters. Deng Kai isn't worried about this. During these 2 years of slow growth, he should be able to grow another 5 centimeters to catch up with Xavi. Right, 1.6 meters really isn't enough. Messi, ahem, well, I think it's pretty good enough. Besides the height cap, there's also the cap for overall physical rating when choosing Portuguese nationality. It was at this moment that Deng Kai saw a red box next to each of his various stats on his overall physical rating chart. The data within the red box represents the cap for that specific stat. For example, Deng Kai's current speed is 71, but the cap for that stat is 80. His explosiveness is 73, with a cap of 85. His stride frequency is 77, with a cap of 90. His footwork strength is 67, with a cap of 85. His jump is 63, with a cap of 80. His strength is 64, with a cap of 80. His agility is 76, with a cap of 90. His stamina is 71, with a cap of 85. This is harsh, but also realistic. While technique can be continuously improved through rigorous practice, if practice doesn't help you break through within a certain time frame, it just means you've reached a bottleneck and need to accumulate quantitative changes, not that you're truly unable to break through. So-called epiphanies, intelligence, or talent in a particular technique simply reduce the time needed for quantitative changes, helping players quickly break through bottlenecks. Even seemingly unchangeable ball handling skills can actually be improved through massive amounts of training. However, physical attributes are different. Human speed has a limit. Once that limit is reached, even a 0.01 second improvement is enormous, and there's a high chance there won't be any improvement at all. These things have nothing to do with effort, or even height or weight. They belong to the body's inherent talent. Height and weight can significantly change your speed, strength, and agility in a short period, but they don't greatly affect the upper limit of these attributes. That's the wonder of creation. Therefore, there's a major misconception in predicting future players in both football and basketball, that small and large players each have their advantages. The basis for this is that smaller players are faster, more agile, and have a softer touch, qualities larger players lack. But in reality, larger players possess height and strength that smaller players lack, and, with the optimization of species genetic lineage, they will be able to catch up with or even surpass smaller players in speed and agility in the future. This is counterintuitive, but these things are being realized with the emergence of players like Durant, Giannis, and Warrenborg. 5 taller, faster, more agile, stronger, more accurate players with longer arms and shorter necks represent the ultimate future of basketball. Similarly, in football, a group of taller, less leggy, 50-50 proportionate build, stronger, faster, and better ball handling players should embody the future Ultimate 11. This is due to genetic optimization based on physical appearance and the overuse of hormones in food, which physically breaks down previously invisible limitations. This is similar to Deng Kai's current approach of breaking these limitations through a system. There are books on genetic optimization that you can read. Children from traditional wealthy families are generally good-looking and have healthy, standard physiques. Besides adequate nutrition, their parents' choice of partners is also crucial. Over hundreds of years, genetic optimization has reached a very high level. Chapter 241 Champion Raider Upgrade. However, diminishing marginal utility means that as genes become superior, this optimization effect becomes smaller and smaller. Therefore, the differences in appearance, physique, and physical qualities among members of families that have inherited their genes for a certain number of years are relatively small. Of course, children from ordinary families don't need to worry. Although they don't inherit superior genes generation after generation, the wonder of biology lies in mutation. And mutants are often the most outstanding. With improved appearance, height, physical strength, or a complete breakthrough in a particular genetic aspect, these individuals can easily surpass others. Moreover, various sports and technologies are often driven by these individuals. These are true geniuses, with a higher ceiling than artificially created geniuses. Your explosiveness, stride frequency, and footwork power limits have been unlocked +5. Deng Kai's limits for these three stats have reached 90, 95, and 90 respectively. Crucially, he was already strong in these three areas, and this upgrade has significantly enhanced his strengths, giving him the potential to excel in these attributes, which were only considered above average in the football world. However, even so, he is still some distance from those genius players with physical mutations. Bale's speed, Messi's pace, Carlos's footwork, and Drogba's strength, these are the real monsters. Detected that you have a large number of idle training stakes and other items. You can choose to recycle them to convert them into progress points. Progress points can be used to upgrade the Champion Raider medal. You chose to recycle 472 training stakes and gained progress points. You chose to recycle 376 energy drinks and gained progress points. You chose to recycle 1 SEK hockey stick. You cancelled this recycling. You chose to recycle 102 medical bandages and gained progress points. You successfully upgraded the Champion Raider medal using progress points. Champion Raider medal, silver, wearable. Does not occupy a wearable slot. Upgradable, current level silver. For each championship won, your personal abilities will increase by 1%. After the increase, the maximum single stat is 80. Single stats exceeding 80 will not take effect. You will gain the silver medal special skill counterattack starts now, 11. Counterattack starts now, 11. When you convert the opponent's possession into your own possession in your own penalty area, your team will be much less likely to lose possession in the next 11 passes. Deng Kai ultimately couldn't bring himself to melt down Sek's hockey stick. After all, it was a rare, wearable stars item. Wouldn't it be a waste to just recycle it as scrap? He'd heard that hockey was the only sport where fighting was legal, so even though the stick was useless, it made Deng Kai feel safe while playing. Before the Champion Raider medal was upgraded, the stat cap was 75. A large portion of Deng Kai's stats were already at that level, so the boost was insignificant. But now that it's at 80, the improvement is substantial. So far, Deng Kai hasn't had any stat directly reach 80. His highest is short passing at 79. Then comes puck control and footwork at 77, and agility at 76. Next are his advantageous attributes like 72 and 71. Of course, there are also a large number of ordinary attributes around 60, and defensive disadvantages like steals, blocks, and clearances. Unfortunately, the bronze upgrade is based on 3% per champion, while silver is based on only 1%, a significant reduction. It's like trading the upper limit for improvement, trading the future for the present. After all, if he remained at a bronze medal level, Deng Kai wouldn't need the medal effect at all in a season or two, because his stats would definitely exceed the medals cap. June 10, 2000. The European Championship grandly opened. 16 teams were divided into 4 groups, with the top 2 from each group advancing to the knockout stage. Belgium, as one of the hosts, kicked off the tournament, facing Sweden at the Stade de la République in Brussels. Ultimately, Belgium defeated Sweden 2-1. Historically, in major international tournaments, The host nation has a better record in their opening match. Even in the history of the World Cup, except for Qatar in 2022, no host nation has ever lost. For this European Championship, Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo had the money. They personally attended most of the matches. During a series of matches for the Portuguese national team, Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo even appeared in the players' family area, enjoying excellent viewing angles. In matches against Spain, France, and Italy, the two were also invited by some stars to watch the games from VIP boxes, truly enjoying themselves. The stadium cameras frequently showed them in shots. The commentators would then introduce them to the Euro 2016 fans. "Oh, the camera is now focused on Deng Kai and Cristiano Ronaldo, they're here to watch the game too." Some fans might not recognize them, but these two are Portugal's hottest rising stars. They led their team to the Portuguese First Division title and the Portuguese Cup, and it's rumored they'll get playing time in the Premier League next season. Of course, Hathaway was also with Deng Kai during the first few matches. This infuriated Ronaldo. Seeing the two of them so affectionate, even feeding each other popcorn, didn't they have hands? They even shared a cup of milk tea. Weren't they afraid of bacterial infection? The most infuriating thing was, after a goal, Hathaway was kissing Deng Kai so passionately. What was that all about? It was only during a football match. What would happen if it were a basketball game? Thankfully, after the brief unpleasantness, Hathaway returned to the United States to audition and film her new movie. The offer for that film hadn't even been considered by Hathaway's agent at first. Hathaway jokingly complained to Deng Kai, "Filming those kinds of movies is really tough. Of course, I'm not afraid, I can try, but my agent thinks it's seriously incompatible with my acting style. You know, even in Lord of the Rings, my role as the elf princess was just for show, all I had to do was look pretty." But that offer not only had terrible filming conditions, but also a lot of fight scenes. Compared to that, I think Demi Moore or Angelina Jolie are definitely more suitable than me. Deng Kai asked, "That's definitely not suitable." "Wait, which movie are you talking about?" Hathaway, "It's based on a game, Tomb Raider." This. Deng Kai was taken aback. "If it's this movie, then I think it could actually be filmed." Hathaway looked at Deng Kai. "This game is incredibly popular, and the movie's poor performance is due to the game's weak conversion rate." "Good performance means your conversion rate is strong," Deng Kai said. "And if the box office is really good, there will definitely be a second and a third installment. A stable output of work is very beneficial for movie stars, it maintains your market exposure. You won't be completely forgotten after 2 years without any acting opportunities." Chapter 242 Guardiola drops a bombshell, Spain's championship confirmed. Even if you try other transitions and fail along the way, you still have your core fan base. I think having your own film series is one of the important criteria for becoming a top-tier movie star in the future. Hathaway was persuaded by Deng Kai and returned to the US to compete. Paramount Pictures had initially thought inviting Hathaway was hopeless and had begun in-depth discussions with Angelina Jolie regarding the role in the production team, but then Hathaway suddenly changed her mind. Paramount could only apologize to Angelina Jolie. In the entertainment industry, popularity is king. It's quite a coincidence. Angelina Jolie won the Best Supporting Actress award at the 72nd Academy Awards for her outstanding performance in Girl, Interrupted. And in the same year, Anne Hathaway won the Best Actress award for The Princess Diaries and the subsequent North American Contemporary Women's Movement. With these two competing for the role, Angelina Jolie had no chance. Of course, after learning that Angelina Jolie had entered into deep collaboration with the production team and that she had been squeezed out, Hathaway called Jolie to apologize. She said she had hesitated for too long, initially feeling she couldn't handle the role, but at the urging of her boyfriend, Duncan, she was willing to give it a try, only to cause Jolie such trouble. Regardless of how unhappy Jolie was, she outwardly maintained harmony with Hathaway. In fact, she genuinely admired the contemporary North American women's movement that Hathaway had spearheaded. Being overshadowed by someone else might be unacceptable to Jolie, but with Hathaway, she had no choice but to accept it. This matter naturally didn't escape the notice of Hollywood reporters. A reporter interviewed Jolie, deliberately stirring up trouble. But Jolie generously stated, "This certainly won't create any conflict between me and Hathaway. We weren't dating before, but Hathaway specifically called me to talk about this, and we talked everything out. We even became good friends because of it." Of course, I think next time Hathaway's boyfriend wants to help her choose roles, he should be quicker. That would reduce a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, Deng Kai, who was at the European Championship, also responded to Jolie in a pre-match media interview. I did offer some advice to Hathaway regarding her roles, and I'm very pleased that Hathaway carefully considered my suggestions. It feels good to be valued. Of course, I also want to thank Angelina Jolie for her magnanimity in this matter. If you have any difficult choices regarding roles in the future, you can let me give you some advice. Deng Kai's reply made the North American entertainment reporters laugh until they cried. What does a soccer player know about movies? Helping Hathaway choose roles is one thing, but to go and cause trouble for Angelina Jolie? She's not your brainless little girlfriend. It has to be said that the media was very pessimistic about both the supporting role in The Lord of the Rings that Deng Kai chose for Hathaway and this role in Tomb Raider. Hathaway should stick to teen romance films, do a few years of those, then move on to pure romance films, the kind with some nudity, and finally, to truly explicit films. That's the destiny of a chick flick actress. Deng Kai, being of Chinese descent, is too conservative. His selfishness will definitely affect Hathaway's career. At the very least, Hathaway's role in The Lord of the Rings won't be remembered, and Tomb Raider will definitely flop at the box office. Definitely. Hathaway's role was finalized, and she quickly joined the cast. Meanwhile, the European Championship group stage ended, and the powerful England and Germany teams were eliminated. They both went home. Portugal and Romania, from the same group, successfully advanced to the knockout stage, becoming one of the 8 quarter-finalists. The latter reached the knockout stage for the first time in history. On the day of their elimination, Beckham and Matthäus made some surprising comments. Matthäus, actually, when I called Duncan dozens of times and couldn't get through, I had a premonition. I had resented him before, thinking he dared not answer my calls. But now it seems he just didn't want to hurt me prematurely. I must apologize for the curses I had inwardly directed at him. I feel lost about my future. It seems I can no longer bring victory to the team, whether it's Bayern, the New York Metro Stars, or the German national team. Beckham, I'm really heartbroken, but I understand Victoria. Duncan told him England would have a hard time advancing from the group stage, and Victoria, afraid I'd be upset, told me England would at least reach the semi-finals. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have asked Duncan in the first place. It caused trouble for Duncan, Victoria, and me. If there's another major tournament, I won't call Duncan. Because while it's exciting to hear from him beforehand that the team has advanced, knowing beforehand that we'll be eliminated is something no one can handle well. Of course, I have to say, Duncan is really insightful. Guardiola echoed this sentiment, saying, Deng Kai is truly amazing. Deng Kai is a god. The most fortunate thing in my life was attending the Portugal Diamond Generation Invitational Tournament, which allowed me to discover this gem, Deng Kai. Some say his magic is prophetic, but in my opinion, he simply understands football. His understanding of the game runs deep, allowing him to distinguish between true strength and mere pretense, who will be eliminated in the group stage, and who will become the true champions. Reporter, so, you're saying Deng Kai believes Spain can win? Guardiola, I shouldn't be telling you this, but I believe Deng Kai understands me. Yes, Deng Kai told me that Spain has a very high probability of winning this year's European Championship. Reporter, unbelievable. This is definitely headline news today, even more incredible than England and Germany going home. Did he say anything else? Guardiola, he cares a lot about the Spanish players' health. He told us, if possible, to avoid eating foie gras, macarons, escargots, baguettes. Reporter, did you notice that all these foods, he ate French food? Guardiola paused, his smile, which had lasted for over a month, finally fading. So, you mean Kai's reminding us not to face France? We can win the championship as long as we don't meet France? Many reporters, after analysis, felt this was truly perfect reading comprehension. I'm afraid that's the case. France, after all, had also reached the quarterfinals of this year's European Championship. Guardiola shook his head. France is indeed very strong. If we really meet France in the final, our chances of winning do seem much smaller. But we are still confident of beating them. As for meeting France before the final, please, with so many teams, meeting France early isn't that easy. The next day, the knockout stage draw for the European Championship was released. The Netherlands faced off against Slavia Prague. Italy drew Romania. Portugal battled Turkey. Spain drew France. European fans were in an uproar. It really was France? Spanish fans vaguely felt something was amiss. June 25. The match between France and Spain began. Chapter 243 The Radiant European Cup. Zidane scored directly from a free kick, giving his team the lead. Mendieta equalized for Spain with a penalty. However, Vieira assisted Djorkaeff to score again for France, ultimately leading to a 2-1 victory for France over Spain. Guardiola was in tears. In an interview, he painfully stated, "Zidane is the best midfielder in the world, perhaps even the best player in the world. I actually understood Duncan's implication, but I didn't want to believe it. If possible, I hope Spain never has to face France again, they are indeed very strong." This prediction propelled Duncan to new heights of fame. Even Zidane, after the victory, told reporters, "Beating Spain wasn't easy, they have many good players. But thank you for our efforts, and thank you to Duncan for his higher regard for us." This statement, combined with the context, instantly made France Duncan's favorite team to win the championship. After all, Duncan had said that Spain could win without facing France, so France winning after defeating Spain seemed logical. June 28. This was a heartbreaking day for Portuguese fans. Benfica star player, Nuno Gomes, who had been in outstanding form throughout the tournament, capitalized on Deschamps' mistake to score a beautiful long-range shot. This was France's first goal conceded from open play in this European Championship. However, in the second half, Arsenal's young French striker, Thierry Henry, scored a brilliant right-footed shot that flew between two defenders, successfully leveling the score. In extra time, in the 115th minute, French player Wiltord's shot from a tight angle near the byline struck Portuguese player's Avier's arm, and the referee awarded a penalty. The Portuguese players reacted emotionally. Nuno Gomes shoved referee Bank in the chest and was subsequently shown a red card. When Bank pulled out the card, Xavier grabbed his arm, attempting to stop the decision. Future South Korean coach Paulo Bento tried to snatch the red card from the referee's hand. Portuguese star Luis Figo even took off his jersey and left the field early to protest the unfair decision. Ultimately, Zinedine Zidane converted the penalty. France defeated Portugal with a golden goal. This is one of the rare instances where the golden goal rule has proven effective since its inception. The golden goal rule, in this context, means that whoever scores the first goal in extra time wins. The intention was to encourage teams to attack more in extra time and provide fans with a thrill of a sudden death scenario. However, it proved to be a major failure. Winning the first goal in extra time also meant losing the first goal conceded. Consequently, players became more conservative. Everyone was worried about scoring the first goal. Previously, everyone anticipated the first goal. Even the team that conceded a goal could hope for a comeback, or even a comeback. This kind of reversal is what makes football truly captivating. After the golden goal rule failed, the even shorter-lived silver goal rule was introduced. Ultimately, the rule of playing extra time to the full 30 minutes, with a penalty shootout if the score was tied, became the mainstream. This European Championship was a banner year for Portugal's golden generation, filling people with boundless imagination for the future of the Portuguese team. Finally, on July 2nd, France and Italy met in the final. In the first half, Italy capitalized on a tactical corner kick, with Totti setting up a backheel goal, and El Vecchio scoring the first goal of the match, briefly bringing the Henri Delaney trophy within reach for the Italians. However, France's Wiltord miraculously equalized in the 93rd minute. In extra time, Pires intercepted Cannavero's pass and crossed the ball, where Trezeguet, along with Henry, who had transferred to Juventus and then to Arsenal after struggling in Serie A, formed the Monaco duo, scoring the golden goal to seal the victory and cementing his legendary status. France lifted the Henri Delaney trophy. This was a star-studded European Championship. Nuno Gomes scored 4 goals, winning the silver boot and beginning his rise to world-class attacking prowess. Italy's substitute goalkeeper Toldo achieved legendary status, and the name Saint Toldo spread far and wide. Future Italian coach Conte scored a spectacular bicycle kick goal in the Italy vs Turkey match. In the champion French team, young players Henry and Trezeguet shone brightly, with Henry winning the bronze boot with 3 goals, establishing himself among the world's top strikers. Although the Netherlands were eliminated in the semi-finals, Kluivert won the Golden Boot with 5 goals. Milosevic also won the Golden Boot with 5 goals and was awarded the Fair Play Award for protecting the referee during the match. However, his greatest record is that he played for 4 national teams throughout his career, which greatly inspired Deng Kai. Normally, a player can only play for one national team. Later, this was amended, allowing a player to play for another national team they hold nationality for 8 years. However, there are special cases. For example, the national team you played for might have disappeared. Or, the national team that accepted you might not have been registered with FIFA before you joined, and only joined after you joined. As an original player of that team, you naturally have the right to play for them. Simply put, if Deng Kai chooses the Portuguese national team in the future, he will basically have no chance to play for the Chinese national team. However, if the Chinese Football Association were to dissolve and a new one established, then theoretically, Deng Kai could seamlessly transition from the Portuguese national team to the Chinese national team. Deng Kai wants Chinese citizenship but doesn't want to play for the Chinese national team. He wants to bring pride to Chinese fans, experience the taste of a World Cup victory with Cristiano Ronaldo, and simultaneously wants the Chinese Football Association to dissolve. What seemed impossible has found its answer in Milosevic. This makes Deng Kai feel that watching this European Championship wasn't a waste. Of course, with shining new stars, there are also fading veterans. While leading Romania's golden generation to the knockout stage and setting a record, Hagi also received the only red card of his career in the match against Italy. Afterwards, Hagi announced his retirement from the national team and retired completely a year later. Schmeichel's Denmark team suffered 3 losses in 3 matches, and he retrieved the ball from the net 8 times, a heavy blow that even made him question whether he should retire immediately, feeling he no longer possessed the ability to compete at a high level. Matthäus also experienced self-doubt after Germany's group stage exit. But his age only highlighted the lack of depth and succession within the German team. Led by Franz Beckenbauer, German football giants offered their criticisms and opinions on Germany's youth training system. This sparked a major reform in German youth development, laying the foundation for Germany's triumphant performance at the 2014 World Cup. After the tournament, UEFA officially announced the best Xi of the European Championship. The forwards were Henry and Kluivert, the midfielders were Zidane, Davids, Vieira, and Figo, the defenders were Maldini, Cannavaro, Blanc, and Thuram, and the goalkeeper was Toldo. This became a buying guide for major clubs after the European Championship. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244 Figo betrays Barcelona. Is the manager Tragura or Maxija? For half the summer, the whole world was watching the European Championship. As soon as the tournament ended, the major clubs, who had been holding back for so long, began to act. Buy him. Buy him. Buy him. But no one expected that the most significant transfer of the summer would come from Portugal. On July 24th, Real Madrid officially announced the signing of their captain, Luis Figo, from Barcelona for a transfer fee of €60 million. This deal shook Europe. It can essentially be understood as Messi joining Real Madrid and Ronaldo joining Barcelona. This deal was incredibly bizarre, filled with too many coincidences and calculations. Figo had played for Barcelona for 5 years, and his personal form had reached its peak this year. He hoped to receive a higher salary. However, even the meteoric rise of Ronaldo couldn't get a higher salary at Barcelona, leading him to leave for Inter Milan. Figo naturally hadn't received a satisfactory price. At the time, both Barcelona and Real Madrid were undergoing leadership transitions, and Figo's agent contacted Real Madrid. Florentino Perez, who announced his candidacy for Real Madrid president, boasted that he would bring Barcelona's star players to the club. This won him the support of manager João Milins and ultimately secured his victory. However, Florentino had previously made a secret agreement with Luis Figo. If he was elected president, Figo would join Real Madrid, otherwise, Figo would have to pay Florentino a huge sum, reportedly €30 million. Conversely, if Florentino was not elected president, he would lose a sum of money to Figo. The specifics of the agreement are debated, but the fact remains that this arrangement existed. Ultimately, to avoid paying such a large sum, Figo had no choice but to join Real Madrid. This incident dealt a huge blow to Barcelona, severely damaging the club's brand value and making it a laughingstock in the football world. Had it not been for the later rise of Barcelona's Dream Team II and Dream Team III, with the emergence of superstars like Ronaldinho, Eto'o, Deco, MSN, Messi, Suarez, Neymar, and Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets to save the day, Barcelona might have suffered a complete collapse. And so Real Madrid ushered in their Galacticos era. Besides Figo, there were many other exciting transfers this summer. Lazio signed Argentine striker Crespo from Parma for €56.8 million. Barcelona used €40 million of the €60 million from selling Figo to bring in the first generation of the Flying Dutchman, over Mars, from Arsenal, but it proved to be a rather unsuccessful deal. Roma took their godlike Batistuta from Fiorentina for €36.2 million, giving him a world record annual salary of $7.15 million. This was a very effective deal, as both Roma and Batistuta won the Serie A title they had longed for at the end of the season. Paris Saint-Germain acquired French alien Anelka from Real Madrid for €34.5 million. Leeds United beat Manchester United to the punch by signing Rio Ferdinand from West Ham United for €26 million, the most famous Rio before Messi. Real Madrid signed defensive midfielder Flavio Conceição from La Liga champions Deportivo La Coruña for €25 million. However, this could become one of Florentino Perez's 10 worst signings. It would have been better to buy Sergio Conceição, a Portuguese player from the golden generation who also has the name Conceição and won the bronze boot at the recently concluded European Championship. Parma signed European Championship golden boot winner Milosevic from La Liga Zaragoza for €25 million. Juventus signed David Trezeguet, who helped France win the Ballon d'Or, from Monaco for €23.2 million, which, in hindsight, is the best deal of the year. However, Juventus is currently quite hesitant. A year ago, they brought in the other half of Monaco's star duo, Thierry Henry, only to have it flop and be sold to Arsenal. Juventus is worried that Trezeguet might suffer the same fate. The 10th largest transfer deal this summer was Lazio's €23 million acquisition of Valencia's key player, Claudio Lopez, from Champions League runners-up. These top-tier deals have made European football more dynamic. Similarly, they've impacted player transfers in other parts of Europe. For example, Sporting Lisbon's Quaresma. Since Barcelona acquired Figo, Sporting Lisbon has established a friendly working relationship with Barcelona. The high-priced signing of Simeo is one example. Even though Simeo didn't quite adapt to Barcelona last season, Barcelona was still willing to bring in the next Figo, Quaresma. The result, aside from Figo's transfer to Real Madrid, is that Barcelona fans now hate Figo and everything related to him. Sporting Lisbon, Portugal. Interestingly, for the next 20 years, Barcelona fans won't love Portugal, because someone they hate even more than Figo will emerge and, after the summer of 2009, take away all the profanity from Barcelona fans for over a decade. Cristiano Ronaldo, who is so hated? Barcelona had already increased their offer for Quaresma from €4 million to €8 million, and it seemed like they could even reach €10 million if negotiations continued. However, after this incident, Barcelona fans collectively expressed their disapproval of the Portuguese player. Barcelona's management also directly announced the closure of the transfer window for Sporting Lisbon. Quaresma was forced to stay at the club. Of course, Sporting Lisbon was still trying to sell Quaresma to Premier League and Serie A teams, but the transfer fee would certainly not be as high as Barcelona's offer. Just when everyone was still waiting for Quaresma's next club, a huge change suddenly occurred in Sporting Lisbon's management. The former club president was imprisoned for corruption, and the tycoon behind Trigueira, who had been imprisoned a year earlier for tax issues, announced his candidacy for Sporting Lisbon's president, promising to allocate at least €10 million in transfer fees to build Sporting Lisbon. He wanted to transform Sporting Lisbon from a black shop into a true football powerhouse. A true powerhouse similar to Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, capable of maintaining long-term competitiveness in the Champions League. With no better candidate in sight, he quickly became the club president of Sporting Lisbon. Then, the club announced the termination of Materazzi's contract and brought back the phenomenal coach Trigueira. Under Materazzi's leadership, Sporting Lisbon made no progress in the past year, finishing 4th last year and 4th this year. Trigueira, on the other hand, was not only a former youth academy hero but also led Moreirense to double this year. Sporting Lisbon fans undoubtedly welcomed Trigueira's appointment. It was a long-awaited arrival. The only controversy is whether Maxier was a better choice. Should Kaguro become Maxier's assistant coach? P.S. I'm really out of ideas now. That's all for today. Tomorrow's update might be tonight. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for all your subscriptions, donations, monthly tickets, recommendations, likes, positive reviews, and shares. Thank you. Chapter 245 Sporting Lisbon needs a youth storm. But soon after, Marques publicly stated, Mr. Trigger was my mentor during my time in the youth academy, and is becoming the first team head coach is the result we all longed for. I'm the first to wholeheartedly support him. I'm willing to support Mr. Trigger as his assistant coach in Sporting Lisbon forever. This display of teacher-student affection was truly impressive. Despite possessing greater ability, he was willing to take a subordinate position simply because the other was his mentor. How many years has this respect for teachers and elders disappeared in Europe? This is a shining example of humanity. A beacon of humanity in Europe, Marques. Top coaches, whether head coaches or not, can bring a positive impact to the team. Who the head coach is doesn't matter, what matters is that Marques is still here. Marques' great gift to Trigger, Quaresma expresses willingness to stay. Quaresma, Trigger and Marques are both my mentors, helping me grow at different stages. I'm happy to continue working with them. I don't necessarily have to go to Barcelona. I hope more teams will see my abilities in the future. Honestly, the fans are basically satisfied that Quaresma stayed. Although the club said they would invest €10 million in the transfer window, Quaresma's value is roughly that. His staying means the club lost €10 million. The transfer window closed just like that, and Sporting Lisbon fans are quite happy. However, Trigger doesn't think so. He had previously discussed the ceiling of a team with Duncan regarding Moreirense's structure. Sporting Lisbon's current structure is only at the level of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th in the Portuguese league. Even with some big money signings and bringing in some famous stars, like Schmeichel, it's impossible to make the team better. To achieve better results, the entire team needs to be overhauled. Thus, Sporting Lisbon sells Abdallah for €2.5 million. Why is Trigger selling such a valuable asset so cheaply? With 2 years of development, Abdallah's value will likely double. Selling key defensive midfielder Delphine for €1.5 million, what is Trigger's intention? Selling George for €3 million, one of the best left-backs in Sporting Lisbon's history. How dare Trigger? Selling 3 players for €1 million, fans feel cheated. Is Sporting Lisbon not planning to spend money on new signings this summer? Trigger officially announces, in the new season, we will build a completely new framework with young players such as Quaresma, Viana, Duncan, and Ronaldo as the main force. Sporting Lisbon needs a youth storm. Only in this way can we break Porto and Benfica's monopoly on the Portuguese league. Maxa, no destruction, no construction. To achieve better results, we should endure such growing pains. I believe Mr. Trigger will bring strong reinforcements to the team. Bora, Trigger's idea is good, but he overlooked the fact that the Portuguese league is only a second-tier league. Even if he has money, he can't buy star players, especially since Sporting Lisbon isn't particularly wealthy. Sporting Lisbon's sale of some players has sparked discussion in the Portuguese league. Looking at Sporting Lisbon's player appearance list last season, it's not hard to see that their squad is seriously aging. There are 8 players with more than 30 appearances, 6 of whom are over 30 years old. The majority of the remaining key substitutes are over 26 years old. This is Sporting Lisbon's dilemma. Without these players, the team's performance will only worsen. To find players of higher and more consistent skill levels, they would have to spend a fortune. Players of that caliber would be stars in their own right. Porto is the most willing to spend money among the 3 giants of the Portuguese league, which is why they previously achieved a three-peat. Other teams would have to spend even more to surpass them. And it's not just about having money. As Bora newspaper pointed out, the Portuguese and Dutch leagues, with their lucrative deals, are attractive enough to young players, but have little value for older players. If given a choice, no one would choose the Portuguese league, unless they are originally Portuguese and would want to return home. Even Record, a newspaper that is traditionally aligned with Trigger, has started a column discussing the unwise moves Trigger made this summer. In this column, Jang Yunzu analyzed Trigger's biggest challenge: a youth storm is not a distant fantasy, especially after Sporting Lisbon retained Quaresma, Viana's resurgence, and recalled Duncan and Ronaldo. Font: I've gotten used to your conversations without me. Jang Yunzu, but the youth storm has a prerequisite: It needs to give fans hope, and at the same time, it needs a group of experienced veterans to lead the young players, teaching them things that can only be accumulated over time. To solve the fan trust issue, we need heavyweight signings. To solve the latter issue, we also need to bring in some experienced veterans. Currently, the only player in the team who meets these conditions is Schmeichel, but Schmeichel was signed last season, and Schmeichel, who suffered a setback in the European Championship, is already considering retirement. One of Triguero's important tasks is to retain Schmeichel, otherwise his situation will become even more difficult. Triguero's moves are very aggressive, like a quick and decisive strike. He's certainly doing it for Sporting Lisbon's good, but such an overly aggressive approach is hard to understand and support. If these issues aren't resolved, he's very likely to be sacked before the new season officially starts. After all, everyone knows that Maximo has the ability to lead Sporting Lisbon to glory. Sporting Lisbon's problems are like a tangled mess. But Trigueiro is methodical, and in turn, he spent €2.4 million to bring in João Pinto, a member of Portugal's golden generation and a veteran, from Benfica. Fans could see that Trigueiro hoped Pinto could bring his experience to the team, but Pinto alone was far from enough. Soon after, Trigueiro brought in another fringe player from Portugal's golden generation, Paulo Bento, from Real Oviedo in the Segunda Divisão through a player swap. Yes, the same Paulo Bento who was heavily punished for refusing a red card at the European Championship. He will also become the future head coach of the South Korean national team. Is Trigueiro trying to assemble Portugal's golden generation? If he can, the fans should be satisfied. First of all, Figo is out of the question. Even if Sporting Lisbon could afford €60 million, Figo wouldn't come back. Rui Costa is also out of the question. He wants to come back, but the fans don't want him to humiliate himself like that. Conceição won't come back either. After reviewing the situation, fans realized that only these two players from the golden generation were likely to come to Sporting Lisbon. You think you can fool us with just two pieces of the puzzle? No way. Some impatient Sporting Lisbon fans, rallied by former executives, launched an attack on Trigueiro. However, what no one noticed was that Maxier, another player widely considered Trigueiro's successor, was not in Portugal during this time. Buckinghamshire, England, Duke's Hotel. Maxier took a deep breath to calm his excited emotions as he stepped into the doorway. He had never imagined that one day he would be able to share the same roof with Zidane, Figo, Beckham, Matos, Deschamps, Guardiola, and other players, discussing the future of various teams for the upcoming season. Chapter 246. The star's wife will unleash her power. This gathering was initiated by Beckham's wife, Victoria, who is quite shrewd. The opportunity arose when Zidane and Figo came to England to film a big advertisement with Beckham. Victoria knew that Sir Alex Ferguson disliked her, and she also disliked the old man who controlled Beckham. She had been seeking opportunities to get Beckham to leave Manchester United. It's rumored that Real Madrid's new president, Florentino Perez, promised during his election campaign to bring superstars to Real Madrid every year. He wanted to transform Real Madrid into the Galacticos of football. Zidane, Ronaldo, Beckham, Totti, these stars were all his targets. Figo had just transferred to Real Madrid, hadn't he? He must know something. He's a schemer, but you have to admit, he dares to do things that sound unbelievable, Figo indirectly confirmed. Deschamps, standing nearby, glared, implying it had nothing to do with him. Leaving aside his nearly 33 years old, even at his peak, he didn't seem to meet the standards Figo was using to attract Florentino's players. He wasn't exactly a superstar. Deschamps came today because he had an appointment with Zidane. Upon learning that Zidane was attending an event organized by the Wives of Footballers Club, he asked Zidane to give him a ride. Deschamps' wife is planning to start a fashion-related business and has always hoped to join this glamorous club. Meanwhile, Mathal's eyes also seemed slightly dim. What a pity. If he were 10 years younger, no, 5 years younger, no, even 3 years younger, he would absolutely be qualified to be Real Madrid's next superstar signing. During their casual conversation, Zidane seemingly unintentionally asked Deng Kai, "What do you think of Real Madrid?" Deng Kai looked at Zidane and smiled, "A great club." Zidane, compared to Juventus? Deng Kai, one is the past and the present, the other is the present and the future. Zidane shook his head. If both clubs wanted you, which would you choose? Deng Kai said, "The one without problems." Zidane frowned. seemingly not understanding what Deng Kai was talking about. "You've always been smart, Zidane," Deng Kai said meaningfully. "You couldn't possibly not sense the changes in Serie A and the strangeness." Zidane's pupils contracted, and he fell silent. While the two of them were talking, Messi was on the other side, chatting animatedly with Matthäus and Deschamps. The latter two were quite interested in transitioning to head coaching positions. Deschamps even stated bluntly that he was preparing to transfer from Chelsea to Valencia. He was already at the end of his career, and where he played wasn't important, or even whether he would get playing time. What mattered was that Valencia's coach, Hector Cúper, was an excellent manager, and Deschamps hoped to learn coaching from him. Max recalled what Deng Kai had said before bringing him here, and puffed out his chest, saying, "Cúper is definitely an excellent head coach, especially skilled in defense. But precisely because of this, forgive me for saying this, Deschamps, you won't get many opportunities under him. A head coach who excels at developing players' defense doesn't have a great need for a defensive midfielder, especially since you're not young anymore. Of course, if you're going there to learn from Cúper, it's even less necessary. Championship-level teams are never good places to learn tactics, because you only see the completed, perfect combinations. But you don't see the scenarios where tactics and players create chemistry or fail to integrate. That's where coaching ability is truly honed. You're an excellent player, you don't lack professional skills, you just lack the combination of theory and practice." From this perspective, those teams preparing for a major rebuild this season are the best opportunities for you to join and observe. Especially those teams with renowned coaches, or whose coaching staff is open to tactical discussions and player selection. Deschamps paused, realizing Max's words made a lot of sense. With Valencia reaching the Champions League final, Cúper has become a highly sought-after manager in European football, with everyone studying his tactics. But is it really that meaningful? Many people know the coaching characteristics of famous managers, but can they simply be applied directly? It's not that simple. Maxa said, "By the way, Cooper's communication skills aren't strong, and his relationships with players can easily deteriorate, just like Van Gaal. Honestly, not to brag, but Sporting Lisbon is actually a better fit for you. If you're willing to join the team, I can apply to Mr. Tragura to allow you to join the coaching staff as a player." "Really?" Deschamps was tempted. Maxa smiled slightly. "I don't have much influence or fame, but in Sporting Lisbon's sphere, my words still carry weight." Deschamps nodded repeatedly, clearly intending to seriously consider it. Deschamps' friend Claude was also pondering. If Deschamps went to Sporting Lisbon, wouldn't he and Hathaway's boyfriend be teammates? That would make his interactions with Hathaway much more legitimate. Moreover, the core of this football stars' wives association was Victoria and Hathaway. Everyone could see that Victoria was trying to curry favor with Hathaway, and Claude also wanted to do some fashion business with Victoria, so Hathaway's support was very important to her. Therefore, Claude decided to go back and work on Deschamps to get him to go to Sporting Lisbon. "Hey, Deng Kai, I'll remember you." Matthäus approached Deng Kai with a wine glass. "I'm really sorry, I really couldn't tell you anything beforehand about the European Championship. I was afraid it would affect your mood. I was just making wild predictions." Deng Kai apologized to Matthäus first. "Not answering the phone was indeed not a good idea. You should have told me earlier, then I wouldn't have gone to this European Championship," Matthäus said. "Now a lot of people are criticizing me, saying that I caused the German team to not even make it out of the group stage." Deng Kai laughed. "That must be something Bayern fans made up." Matthäus nodded. He also thought it must have been those Bayern fans. Although Bayern held a farewell match for him at the end of May, many fans came to attend. But both within Bayern Munich and among its fans, many harbor resentment towards him. He has never been popular. Many fans have also blamed him for Bayern's Champions League elimination this year. With the Champions League and the European Championship both looming large, even Matthäus is finding it hard to bear the weight. He had originally planned to return to Europe to play for another year or two. But now, he intends to retire altogether. Chapter 247. You might want to consider Sporting Lisbon. "Actually, your situation is quite similar to Deschamps'," Deng Kai said. "Of course, I'm not talking about this European Championship. Deschamps helped France win the title. I mean, Deschamps also wants to transition into coaching. I just chatted with Max here, and he seems a bit interested in Sporting Lisbon. In my opinion, I think you'd be a good fit for our team." Matthäus almost couldn't help but laugh. Sporting Lisbon? The Portuguese league? Are you sure? The implication was that the Portuguese league was too low level. That's probably much higher than the MLS level, Deng Kai said with a smirk. Both Trigger and Maxa are excellent head coaches, and their team records are incredible. Besides, Bayern and Germany both said you weren't good enough, right? Even if you join a big team now, they'll still say you're not good enough, let alone the fact that no big team would want you right now. If you join a smaller team and lead a group of rookies to something great, then you'll be the team's biggest contributor. Matthias still didn't take it seriously. What if they don't perform well? Deng Kai shrugged, that just means this batch of rookies isn't good enough. And maybe the head coach will be fired too, and you'll just be the one taking over. Matthias's eyes lit up, then he quickly covered them up again. Stop acting. Don't tell me you didn't go to America initially to coach the New York Subway All-Stars? Deng Kai exposed Matthias's ulterior motives. With your reputation, as long as you truly possess coaching talent and have worked for a team for a period of time, becoming the head coach at the right time is absolutely possible. Sporting Lisbon is a great platform for any rookie coach, isn't it? Matthias seemed to have a sudden realization. Joining Sporting Lisbon was like killing multiple birds with one stone. One escape route after another. First, prove yourself, and incidentally learn how to be a head coach. If the team succeeds, you'll have proven yourself. Head coaches usually go to big clubs, so wouldn't that position naturally fall to the team's renowned veteran, Matthias? If the team doesn't succeed, and the head coach is dismissed, wouldn't the superstar Matthias, who knows the team and coaching staff so well, also have a chance to become the team's new head coach? When you're a superstar, Sporting Lisbon might not be the best platform. But for a new coach, the position of head coach of a Portuguese powerhouse is at least a third-tier level, right? Still, it's incredibly satisfying. Matthias glanced at Maxa not far away and sighed. Kid, did Maxa teach you all this? Deng Kai was taken aback. You almost got it right. The thing about Maxa and Deschamps, I definitely taught him to say it. No wonder Sporting Lisbon dared to rebuild so cleanly and efficiently this summer. It seems like Trigura is the one with the guts, but Maxa beside him is probably the real decision maker, isn't he? Matthias smiled. Young and promising, courageous, capable, willing to be subordinate, respectful of elders and kind to children, it seems he will be my future rival for the world's best coach. Alright, then let me get to know my future nemesis. Maxa. Clap clap clap. Deng Kai could only applaud. No wonder they both start with Ma. The world's brainless are all one stone, and Maxa and you, Matthias, together account for two. This world still owes you two fist fights of brainlessness. This transfer will not only be the biggest transfer news in Portugal, but it will also cause a huge stir in the entire European football world, Deng Kai boasted. Neither German fans nor Bayern fans would have expected you to return with such a spectacular turnaround. At least in Germany, your transfer will be the most talked about transfer. Matthias asked, this can't be true, right? Figo's betrayal is something that will be hard to surpass in the short term. It's even more impressive than Luis Enrique's transfer from Real Madrid to Barcelona. After all, Enrique is nowhere near Figo's level. Deng Kai said, but you are. Whether it's your status in the football world or the drama of your move to Sporting Lisbon. Don't forget, 2 years ago, besides Manchester United, it was me directing Bayern in the Champions League final that caused them to suffer a heartbreaking defeat. Your defection will be no less devastating for Bayern fans than Figo's for Barcelona fans. Hiss. Matthias hadn't even thought of this until Deng Kai mentioned it. This seems really satisfying. So many people in the Bayern team are unhappy with me, and so are the fans. If they're unhappy, then I, Matthias, am very happy. But something seems off. Watching Deng Kai's departing figure, Matthias suddenly cursed, damn it. If it weren't for your terrible coaching back then, I'd have the Champions League trophy by now. What trophy hasn't Matthias won in his life? Hey, the Champions League trophy. That damn Deng Kai. The summer transfer window opened, and European player movement was very frequent. After losing Figo, Barcelona wanted to do something in the transfer market to salvage something. So they signed Overmars from Arsenal for 40 million. But that wasn't enough. They added another 15 million euros to bring back Emmanuel Petit, the key midfielder who had just won the Henri Delaunay Trophy with the French national team this year. Of course, this deal wasn't successful. Petit, after only half a season, went to great lengths to transfer to Chelsea in the Premier League, stating that Barcelona was the worst stop in his career, with too many things unrelated to football there, a three-way split between the local clique, the Dutch clique, and others, with no real team spirit. Furthermore, Real Madrid's acquisition of Figo dealt a heavy blow to the Barcelona icon. But that wasn't all. Real Madrid was also negotiating with Valencia for the future of another player besides Lopez, Gerard Lopez. This player, a product of Barcelona's youth academy, was a key player in Valencia's Champions League final last season and is slated to become the manager of Barcelona B. If Real Madrid were to buy such a cattle and talent, Barcelona would lose all face, their present and past would be handed over to Real Madrid, leaving them with no future. Therefore, Barcelona joined the bidding for Gerard Lopez and ultimately acquired him for a significantly overpriced €21.6 million. This was a lose-lose deal. Barcelona's acquisition of Gerard didn't suit his playing style, and Gerard ultimately failed to thrive at the club. His only contribution to Barcelona was that his frequent injuries created opportunities for Iniesta to rise to prominence. His role as a stepping stone was truly remarkable. Chapter 248 Top football star joins the team. Furthermore, Gerard, having joined Barcelona, rejected a genuine offer from AC Milan to maintain his connection with the Blaugrana. Had he gone to Serie A, his future might have been different. At the time, Gattuso, Gerard's competitor at AC Milan, hadn't yet shown any outstanding performances and was unlikely to win the competition for Gerard Lopez. It was from Gerard Lopez onwards that Barcelona began its tradition of poaching players from Valencia, subsequently acquiring Villa, Alba, André Gomes, Paco Alcácer, and many other players, including some superstars. This wave of signings saw Barcelona spend all of Figo's money, even incurring losses of over €10 million, before finally satisfying the fans. Barcelona firmly believed that with such aggressive recruitment, they would have a bright season. But no one expected that despite spending so much money, Barcelona couldn't even grab a transfer headline after Figo's transfer was finalized. Because on the other side of the Iberian Peninsula, a transfer involving Sporting Lisbon shook Europe. Sporting Lisbon official website warmly welcomed FIFA's first World Player of the Year, Ballon d'Or winner, and German Footballer of the Year Lothar Matthäus to Sporting Lisbon. Boom. Like a thunderbolt. Who else could pull off such a news story? Sporting Lisbon is unremarkable. Matthäus is already a twilight star, not much of a headline. But when a star everyone thought would retire suddenly announces a comeback, many fans are still incredibly excited. It's like Torres suddenly announcing his comeback in 2022 after retiring for several years, shocking, making people want to know more, even if it was just a marketing ploy. Following this, related news kept emerging, with Record providing almost all the first-hand information, once again dominating the summer. Matthäus's mysterious signing, salary only matching Sporting Lisbon's existing top salary. A huge reduction compared to his Bayern era. Reason 1 for Matthäus joining Sporting Lisbon: Trigura and Maxier are excellent coaches, and I want to work with an excellent coach. Matthäus joined Sporting Lisbon for the second reason. Although Germany was eliminated in the group stage of the European Championship, Duncan didn't tell me beforehand that he had predicted the same result, otherwise we probably would have performed even worse. Helping Duncan and Sporting Lisbon is my way of showing my gratitude. Matthäus joined Sporting Lisbon for the third reason. He hopes to lead a group of young players to compete for the championship and prove that Bayern Munich and the German team didn't fail because of him. Various reports were flying around. The Sun, with its extensive network in England, quickly refuted several of the Record's articles. The Sun, the biggest driving force behind Matthäus's move to Sporting Lisbon was Duncan. The Wives Club played a key role. We previously judged Matthäus to be preparing for a move to Manchester United based on the Wives Club, but now it seems that Duncan has been preparing for this day all along. Matthäus attended a Wives Club gathering in Buckinghamshire before joining Sporting Lisbon. It was organized by Victoria and Hathaway, and Marin also brought Matthäus along. Other heavyweight stars also attended the gathering, 2 Frenchmen and 1 Spaniard. The Sun always knows how to manipulate headlines. 2 Frenchmen and 1 Spaniard really whetted people's appetites. Everyone speculated. But soon, one of the Frenchmen surfaced. Sporting Lisbon has brought French national team champion Deschamps from Chelsea. Transfer fee €3.5 million. Deschamps admits to attending the Wives Club, but he didn't reveal the identity of the other Frenchman. Found. Zidane and Beckham filmed an advertisement for a brand that day, in England. Zidane: I was invited to a party, it was the girls' domain. We players just gathered around and chatted. France football: Zidane might choose to leave. His contract renewal with Juventus has some unresolved clauses. Will his wife make him waver at Juventus? Marca: Florentino is very interested in Zidane. Real Madrid needs all the top superstars. Juventus: we are very happy to have renewed Zidane's contract. He will be Juventus' most important player in 2005. Wow, Deng Kai said it was a story from the Sun, but why is it France football picking up on it, and why is the Spanish Marca following suit? Now it seems Zidane pulled off a clever maneuver, putting pressure on Juventus to agree to his high salary contract renewal terms. The key is that even Juventus couldn't utter a single word of complaint, because Zidane cooperated from beginning to end. It was Real Madrid and its star player's wife who stirred things up. That's why Zidane is considered a smart man. If you openly pressure the team, even if a contract is signed, will the management, fans, and teammates still see the perfect Zidane? Of course, after this incident, Deng Kai called Zidane and praised his move. Zidane pretended not to understand, but ultimately helped Deng Kai by getting several phone numbers in France and Italy. Both expressed satisfaction with his cooperation. As for the Spaniard who attended the party, it couldn't be kept secret either. Guardiola was found by the media. Guardiola readily admitted, I went at Deng Kai's invitation, but only for personal reasons outside of work. We talked about investing in a restaurant in England. We didn't talk much about football, I mainly signed contracts. Guardiola dispelled the doubts of Barcelona fans. To be fair, Barcelona's decision to buy Petit suggests that Guardiola wasn't entirely reliable in their eyes. Especially since 1997 and 1998, Guardiola seemed to have been plagued by injuries. Last season, he even missed several games the coach wanted him to play, citing health reasons, which sparked a backlash from fans. Guardiola explained that his sports medicine specialist advised him to rest, otherwise he might suffer a serious injury. People don't care what would happen, they only care what happened. Guardiola lost a lot of trust at that time. Some Barcelona fans even questioned why Guardiola didn't go to Sporting Lisbon after the players' wives' reunion incident. With Petit and Gerrard already on the team, Guardiola was essentially dispensable at Barcelona. This infuriated Guardiola. Chapter 249: Young Master Kai's phone call. This also made Guardiola feel a huge crisis. It was precisely because of this crisis that the players rebelled, so Guardiola united the Barcelona native contingent even more tightly, thus exacerbating the conflict with the Dutch contingent. Matthias, Deschamps, João Pinto, Paulo Bento. Sporting Lisbon's veteran squad is relatively complete, but their youthful energy seems insufficient. Sporting Lisbon still has vacancies in several key positions, they need to bring in at least 3 to 5 more players. Sporting Lisbon bares its fangs, Benfica and Porto refuse to engage in further transactions with them. Other Portuguese teams are demanding exorbitant prices from Sporting Lisbon, with players being significantly overpriced. Portugal has been lacking in outstanding young players in recent years, with most already in the top 3 clubs. Sporting Lisbon has nowhere to fill these gaps. Sporting Lisbon's scouting system is not global, making it difficult to find quality options for young players from other regions. Seeing Sporting Lisbon's squad nearing completion, other Portuguese teams panicked. It's not so bad, this team is just too old. Matthias is already 39. Deschamps, Pinto, Bento, these guys are either in their late 30s or almost 30, and their skill level isn't particularly high. They all need a reliable substitute. Duncan and Ronaldo are 15. Quaresma, Viana, and Font are 18. Among these youngsters, Quaresma, who has already played a full season in the Portuguese league, is the strongest, but while his stats were excellent last season, his performance was still somewhat lacking. They also need more time to adapt to the Portuguese league, and they might not achieve results within 2 years. Under this pressure, Trigueiro looked at the phone numbers and player names in front of him, feeling somewhat nervous. Maxi was sweating profusely beside him. It's only about 5 or 6 million in total, and in the future, it might not even be a fraction of my and Ronaldo's market value. What are you afraid of? Just play. Duncan encouraged Trigueiro. Trigueiro finally nodded, he chose to trust Duncan. All the documents in his hand were either found under Duncan's instructions or provided by him. These are all young players whose names are practically unknown to most people. A youth storm isn't just about being young. It has to be young geniuses. At the very least, someone like Font is needed. Well, Font is still too low level. Basically, you need to be better than Font to have any chance of creating a youth storm. Font: hello, Benfica? I'm defecting. I haven't felt respected at Sporting Lisbon. Veloso: Font: I advise you to think carefully. Speaking of disrespecting players, Benfica has always been good at it. Ahem. Trigger cleared his throat and started dialing. Hello, this is. Trigger handed the phone to Deng Kai. Portuguese and Italian share a common origin but aren't exactly the same. To avoid any errors in communication, Trigger decided to let a professional handle it. Deng Kai had already mastered French, Italian, German, and other languages before being admitted to the University of Lisbon. Hello, is this Rondinella Football Club? Okay, this is Sporting Lisbon Football Club. I'm the assistant to head coach Mr. Trigura. We hope to discuss the transfer of your player Andrea Barzagli. Deng Kai gestured for Maxa to stop clapping and making noise. What? Pistoia from Serie B has already loaned this player? Excuse me. Have the formalities been completed? Or is it just a preliminary agreement? It's already agreed? So the process hasn't started yet? How about a transfer fee of 100,000 euros? You're trustworthy, and it's inconvenient for you to break the contract. I understand, 150,000 euros. Of course I know you're in a difficult position. How about this, 200,000 euros, that's the limit our boss can make. We have several other players we're interested in, and if we can't get Barzagli, we'll have to quickly make an offer there, you know what I mean. Okay, nice to meet you. We'll send someone to liaise with you immediately. Maxa watched in trepidation. Wasn't it supposed to be a 100,000 euro limit? How did it become 200,000 euros? Isn't this going over budget? 200,000 euros for a Serie D player? The fans will accuse us of embezzlement. Maxa was almost in tears. He hadn't saved that much money in the previous 2 years. If the club investigated, his BMW 3 Series would be gone. This kind of small amount of money, even if you save a little or double it, how much difference will it make? Deng Kai laughed. When it comes to real top player transfers, deals worth tens of millions, even a discount will make more than what you're cutting out here. Judging from your spending habits, I can tell you're living a very frugal life. You bought all the dish soap, toilet paper, and laundry detergent on sale, right? Maxa nodded. Deng Kai, how much can you save in a year? 100 or 200? Maxa, 39 euros. Deng Kai, your clothes are discounted by tens of euros each time, right? Appliances often have discounts of hundreds of euros. Whether you buy a car early or late, with or without a discount, makes a difference of thousands of euros. A person's energy is limited. Spend small amounts freely, it's less stressful. Cut back on big expenses later, understand? Maxa suddenly realized. Just as Kai Xiao said. No wonder I've been calculating every day, not saving much at the end of the year, and even feeling dizzy and nauseous whenever I buy something. 666. The transfer request for Barzagli was quickly approved by Rondinella. Seriously, 200,000 euros, an Italian Serie D player, that's an astronomical price. Apart from Liu Yang and Morik, Serie D has never produced such an expensive player. Hello, Barzagli? I'm the assistant to Sporting Lisbon's head coach, Trigura. Mr. Trigura is right next to me, but his Italian isn't very good, so he asked me to contact you. That's right, the club has its eye on your potential. No, not the youth team, but the first team. The Portuguese league, the first team, you'll get plenty of playing time, but whether you're a starter or a key rotation player depends on your performance on the pitch. Actually, Mr. Zidane mentioned you when he spoke with our team leadership. He said there's a promising center-back in Serie D, and I don't know where he saw you play. But we value Mr. Zidane's recommendation, so we studied you and unanimously agreed that you have the ability to play in the Portuguese league. Do you know Methalis and Deschamps? They just joined our team. If you agree, in the new season, you'll stand behind Methalis, becoming his most reliable support. You know, Methalis has also played center-back, he can definitely give you some valuable advice. Chapter 250. Hello, Drogba. Don't get excited, don't cry, speak slowly, no need to rush. Yes, I know you've worked hard enough, your performance is evident to all. Mr. Trigura is known for his ability to discover and cultivate young stars. Figo, Simeo, and Quaresma are all his masterpieces. Okay, then we'll start working on the contract. By the way, you can also start some training early. Sporting Lisbon's season goal is the Portuguese league title, so we'll be in match fitness early. Don't fail the team's entry test. Soon, Deng Kai had secured Barzigli's services. It seemed the other player had cried for quite a while on the other end of the phone. Andrea Barzigli is certainly no stranger to Juventus and Italian fans. He started as a Ciro-style centre-forward, later playing midfield, and only switched to centre-back at 18, last year. He's a true star who rose from the bottom. Last season, he led Ronaldinho in the amateur leagues, successfully helping the team advance to the Italian 4th division. This is precisely why €200,000 is an astronomical price that an amateur league club could hardly refuse. Their player transfers are usually in the thousands, rarely exceeding tens of thousands. Thinking about it this way, it's quite normal for Ronaldinho to reject the loan offer from Serie B side Pistoia. Moreover, Pistoia's offer to Barzigli didn't guarantee any playing time. If Barzigli had gone there, his appearances would likely have been less than 5, a complete waste of his youth. In fact, if Sporting Lisbon hadn't made the move, Barzigli would have transferred to Serie C side Ascoli, helping them regain promotion to Serie B, and then join Serie A side Chievo. He would have reached his first peak with a transfer to Palermo, then Wolfsburg, and finally experienced a second peak with Juventus. Even top Serie A centre-backs like Chiellini and Bonucci later had to call him brother, and the three of them formed Italy's most reliable defense for a time. Barzigli's greatest strength was his one-on-one tackling. Absolutely incredible. As he ages, his slow turning speed will be a fatal flaw, but he's not even 20 yet, so there won't be a speed crisis. He's definitely a good choice for the centre-back position. In terms of centre-back talent, he's far superior to Font. Barzigli is just the beginning. Trigura also secured a good loanee from the Premier League. This player is a very high-quality young player. He'll be playing for his team's first team this year or next. The Premier League first team is a prestigious position. These kinds of players are treasures. Basically, no team will loan them out. What if you injure them or ruin their development? And even if they were to loan them out, it wouldn't be Sporting Lisbon. They definitely have a partner team. They don't want the good stuff going to outsiders. But this player is a special case this year. He started for the team's first team last year, but later the team didn't have a chance to play him, so they loaned him out for half a year, afraid his form would drop. He was supposed to get plenty of playing time with the first team this year, but the team's transfer dealings went wrong. Players who were supposed to leave didn't, and those who shouldn't have come arrived, leaving this young player with little playing time again. If he stayed with the first team, he wasn't sure he'd get enough playing time. Out of responsibility to the player, the team told him the situation and let him choose. The player was initially willing to gamble on the first team, confident in himself. But then, Portuguese giant Sporting Lisbon sent a loan request. The club had just completed a successful deal with Sporting Lisbon and didn't want to back out, so they let the player decide whether to go. The player was happy, as this meant he didn't have to risk everything with the first team. If he stayed and didn't secure a starting centre-back position, his future would be uncertain. So, maybe he could postpone his move to the Premier League first team for another year? And experiencing the real competition in the Portuguese league would be worthwhile, as its level is generally higher than the Championship or Serie B these days. The Portuguese and Dutch leagues are comparable to Ligue 1 and even the Bundesliga. And so, Chelsea, the Premier League team that had just sold De Champs to Sporting Lisbon, quietly announced a loan of their talented academy player John Terry to Sporting Lisbon for 1 season. If Barzigli was a world-class centre-back in his prime, then John Terry was a regular on almost every list of the top 10 centre-backs. He may not be the world's best centre-back, but he is England's best centre-back, the most successful centre-back in the Premier League's big money era, and the future heart and soul of Chelsea. Although it's only a 1-season loan, and although Terry is only 20 years old, honestly, he's definitely much better than Sporting Lisbon centre-backs like Marcos, Facundo, and Font. I'm really leaving. While the team was busy, Deng Kai was still on the phone. He directly spent €400,000 to sign the 22-year-old centre-forward Didier Drogba from Le Mans in Ligue 2. At first, Le Mans even said that Guingamp in Ligue 1 was interested in Drogba and wanted to buy him, with their first offer being €200,000. Deng Kai didn't waste any time on small talk with Le Mans, immediately asking if €200,000 was too cheap, and asking if he'd sell for 400,000 euros. Neymar had never seen anything like this. This DJ Drogba looked energetic and seemed to have the potential of a center forward, but his goal-scoring efficiency was truly lacking. He was mediocre even in League 2, making it hard to believe he'd score more goals in a higher league. However, Deng Kai knew that some center forwards' goal-scoring ability wasn't measured by the number of goals scored. He might only score 10 or so in a lower league, but he could score 10 or so in a top league. This was a completely different type of striker from Jardel. Jardel scored 30 or 40 goals in several seasons in the Portuguese league. But in a top league, he struggled to score even 10 of course. Deng Kai didn't need to tell him this. Drogba might not even be capable of playing in a top league right now. But using Drogba as a backup for Jardel was still acceptable. And if Deng Kai remembered correctly, Drogba would be facing a series of injuries this season. It's here, but it still needs to be inspected first, and then we can use it depending on the situation. It's not something you can just use whenever you want. Drogba came from a poor family and wandered between France and Ivory Coast at a young age, playing for several small clubs. So when he learned that a Portuguese Super League team wanted him, he didn't hesitate much and packed his bags and set off. He had a reason to fight tooth and nail for it. P.S. There are 2 more chapters for the patron, and I'll try to finish them tomorrow. I really can't write today. I just found out that one of my roommates A, B, and C, who live under the same roof and eat together, has tested positive for COVID-19. I'm so pissed off. I have to move to a 2-person room tonight to reduce the risk of cross-infection. No wonder I've been feeling dizzy and have diarrhea these past 2 days. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.